Let's just do. Can you hear me now? Okay, that was weird. I don't know why it wasn't working on YouTube there for a second. I think I'm coming in now. So yeah, I was just mumbling and going off about how I want blue hair. That's all. So you didn't really miss too much. How's everybody doing? You guys interested to come and talk to me and let me know like why woke isn't right? Because if you want to join up, you can click this little request button down here. It's a little pink and blue guy. If you're watching from YouTube, you can actually type in this little URL at the top here, tinyurl.com/deconjunc. And yeah, we can discuss why or not woke is the way to go. I know a lot of people have big feelings about this topic, so I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if nobody really wants to talk about it. Of course, I may ask you some hard questions, some hard hitters, but yeah, I say get woke or go broke. Yeah, exactly. You wish you knew. Because if you're woke, then you're aware, and I think that like being aware is hey Miss Julie is the way to go. It's so nice to see your name pop up, Miss Julie. I like it really is. I love seeing your name pop up. Let me see. Enable. Okay. All right. Just had to get a few things up. All right. Let's see. I used to have a song here. Where'd that go? Okay. All right. Yeah. If you're just coming in on TikTok, tap the back of the screen, share the live out. I'm doing all right, Miss Julie. Things are actually getting a lot better. That's why I've been going live a lot more. I've had a little bit more time to not so much worry and take care of my parents from their like immediate craziness that was going on with their health. Both my parents were like, it was touch and go there for a second. Woke is right. If you have nothing in the game, no house, no family. Huh? If you have nothing in the game, no house, no family. Yeah, I mean, true, I guess. I'm not sure if that's like supporting it or if you're being like cheeky, but either way, yeah. Share the live out, tap the screen. Let's try and get to 5,000 if we can. If you know anybody that may think that woke is not the way to go, then have them come over. I have a house and kids. You guys project so hard. Yeah, I also have a house. Like I am a homeowner. So we do pay a mortgage. Willfully overlooking known evil. Drew, what does that mean? That is not what woke means. At least from the way I understand it. I don't know what that means. Willingly overlooking known evil. I think that's like what the administration's doing, like the DOJ is doing when it comes to the e-files, if you know what I'm saying. I think that they're willfully overlooking like very known evil. Thank you, Dugald. All right. So we could go over some headlines or something while I'm waiting for anybody to build up the courage to come up and have a discussion. He's doing an acronym. Oh yeah, I know he's doing an acronym of that word, but like I don't understand what's the known evil, Drew? Why don't you come up and we can talk about it? Woke ironically has to take rights away from others for their own equality. Explain, Cheese. Do you want to come up and let me know what you mean by that? Because I don't know how you are taking rights away from anybody by like being equitable or equal for people. But I would say that people have not gotten woke enough lately. Like you guys, like MAGA was doing really good when woke was like kind of in power because I feel like it's a kind of a thing where people just kind of rebel against whoever's in charge at the moment. We saw it with like how South Park was reacting to kind of like the woke culture when that was kind of popular. Now they're kind of going against this anti woke culture. So it's funny. So I think that everybody should be kind of in supporting of going more woke with things. Stuff like critical race theory. Like teaching actual history. Please define MAGA. Make America Great Again? Who is MAGA? MAGA is anybody who aligns themselves with the cult of personality of Trump is what I would call MAGA. Make America Great Again is basically just Trump is my like thought leader. New Zealand politics is funny. In New Zealand, what do you think is right and left? I don't know. I don't know too much about New Zealand politics. Seriously though, what is woke? Yeah, good question. And I hope to get somebody up here so we can discuss that, because I think that's one thing we need to establish is like what does woke even mean, right? I know what like DEI means. I know what critical race theory is. Those are two things that come up in my head when I think of the word woke. So DEI didn't earn it. Okay, Jared, sure. Uh, why do you think that diversity, equity, and inclusion would mean that somebody didn't earn a position when all DEI really is it's just allowing people the same access to resources as others, right? So like even people out in rural areas, they would have DEI for them, right? Because you know they might not have very fast internet, they might not have you know like long distance phone calling, or you know they have to drive really far to get to certain places like a library or you know like a doctor's office. So yeah, do I have a real job? Yes, I do have a real job. Uh, I work full time. I'm on salary. I do this because I like to. Here I am. I'm a financial analyst, to be completely honest. So it's a pretty decent job, and I do work in the public sector. So it's not like private interest. Woke is mainly just having empathy for others, and people demonize it. I agree, Asher. Like, why demonize just like being empathetic? Why is woke like this bad word in a lot of people's vocabulary? If you want to talk about it and you're watching on YouTube, you can type in this little URL here, tinyurl.com/decon, into your browser. And you would just have to pause the YouTube stream, type that URL in, and then we can get you up on the stream. We can talk. If you're watching on TikTok, you can actually join up by clicking the little request button in the bottom here. It's a little pink and blue guy, and then you can hit request to get up. And yeah, let's talk about it. In the financial sector, you're full of crap. It's your with a apostrophe re. It's a conjunctive word that means you and are. The way that you used your is possessive, like noun, like your is in your dog or your car is how you're using your, but you meant to say you are. So next time, just instead of saying your, just write you space are, because you can't do it like correctly. Woke is being actively aware and attentive to social injustices. I would agree. Woke is left. I would agree with that too, Red. Woke is left. But when I mean right, I mean like it's the right way to go. It's the correct way to go. I would also say that right does like the right does need us to be more woke, because I think they're losing a little bit of steam, if you ask me, and that's because people are just you know not having this kind of like mainstream anti woke culture, and it's really hurting the MAGA movement, if you ask me. Why is my thing not charging my little computer? There we go. Woke is an algorithmic way of thinking that applies intersectional analysis to all interactions. Okay, yeah, intersectionality is a thing. Woke is good Christian values. Yeah, woke is the good Christian values they all act like they care so much about. I would agree, Lauren. Jerkenhoff Goonington. If we cared about the crime, ICE would be deporting. Whoa. All right, dude. Yeah. Actually, yeah, you're just gonna get blocked. What the hell, racist? man, you guys can't even like come up with a good argument. So it's just like immediately racist like rhetoric, things like that. Let's see. We got some people looks like coming up. Oh God. Oh, let's see. Dugald's joining in. Hey Dugald, what's up, buddy?
Hey, friend, I came out to tell you to mod me so that I could have muted the racist.
Oh God. Yeah, I need to figure out how to. Let me see how I figure out how to do modding on here. I've seen it before. And no degree, what's going on, sir?
Well, I mean, I mainly come up to see exactly what woke is, because
Well, that's my question to you, actually. What do you think woke
well, my
is?
understanding is woke is this idea that people, I guess, are aware of the social injustices and stuff, and they're aware of the systemic racism, and that we need to be more aware of it. But that's about all I know. As far as what anybody's wanting to do about it, I don't know. I guess that's kind of how my understanding is.
Okay.
So if you just want to be aware of social injustice or whatever, sure. But I think it's when people want to put these into actions that it becomes more of a problem.
Okay, what do you mean by actions? Because I would agree that like woke, in my opinion, is just like being aware, being awake. That's like the like idiomatic way of like explaining like this awareness. Like people like it's like opening your eyes for the first time, right? Like to things that you may have not so much been aware of.
I think the thing would be when it become a problem if you start wanting to say, okay, well, we need to do something to make up for the wrongs of society. Therefore, you start doing stuff like somebody brought up DEI, where you're saying, okay, well, because women have been wrongly mistreated, then they should, even if they're less qualified, get first dibs at certain jobs.
That's not DEI
and other things like that. And that's where I think that people get.
Yeah, that's what they think, but that's not what it is.
That's not what DEI is.
Well, yeah, but what I think once people start trying to put certain ideas into actions, and like maybe retribution for slavery, things like this, where okay, well, we should pay back certain people.
Like
reparation.
That's why I think it becomes a
why
problem.
are you using words like retribution when the only thing people are asking for is equity or equality? Why would you use the word retribution when we're talking about fixing a social
maybe
injustice?
Retribution. What do they call it? What's the term where you pay people back because their ancestors
You're talking
were
about
slaves?
reparations?
Yeah,
reparation. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
wrong word. Yeah.
What's wrong with reparations?
Well, reparations it's just kind of a really strange thing, because I mean, once you start trying to figure out how you would do that and how you would know who deserves what, and furthermore, how far are you going to go with it? Are you just going to go with what's going on in the U.S., or is this a world thing?
No, reparations is only about U.S., and it's only about those whose families or lineage would have been affected by that.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how you would even calculate that. What would be the
DNA test results? Matter of fact, there are a couple states that have already done it. California actually did do it already, and they did just fine by doing it.
Oh, they paid them back. How much did they get?
That I don't know. I wasn't privy to that info, but I'm sure we could look it up if we really wanted.
Can I ask No Degree a question?
Yes, go right ahead.
Absolutely.
Do you think that we don't have records of who was enslaved and where they were enslaved? Do you think that there are no records?
I don't know. I guess people do. Sure.
Do you guess?
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking this question, right? And it seems like you're using it as a reason to invalidate the idea of reparations, but you haven't looked into it.
Well, no, I mean,
what do you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
If you're denigrating the idea of reparations, if you're denigrating the idea of reparations, why have you never looked into any of the many writings about any of the many? Why are you interrupting me?
Well, I'm just curious how this reparation is going to be. What about the black slave owners?
Why are you interrupting me?
Do they have to pay reparations to other black people, or how would that work? I guess would be
It would be the
owners are the
state.
ones
It
who
would be
got the
the state of
reparations.
America paying it back, right? Because
Right, and
America.
the slave owners actually got
white people.
reparations themselves. They never paid reparations; they got reparations.
What about all the white people that would have suffered social injustice at some point? Did they get reparations too? Or
It's
is it
not.
just
That's not what reparations is about. It's
or
about the
Asian people?
slavery specifically.
Asian American,
but
Japanese Americans did get reparations for the
Yeah.
internment camps.
Yeah, for the internment camps. Yep, they did,
okay.
because that was an injustice.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how much
Do you
did California
realize
pay?
you realize that no degree you realize that there are American families, American dynastic families that still benefit off of the gains that they made during slavery?
Maybe, I don't know.
You know that there are insurance companies who got their start because the thing that they insured was slaves as property, and that's how they were able to get a foothold in the
So
insurance
could we
agency.
make them go out of business, force them out of business?
No, they're still operating now. That's what he's telling you.
Okay, so why could we just take their profits and use them as reparations?
You're gonna try. You're gonna
would-
turn
why
around and
wouldn't
tell
you
the
do-
government to take down some of the largest
Sure.
insurance companies in the world.
What if
Do
you
you think
what
no
if
degree,
you were
no,
from
no
a
degree, stop for a second.
poor
No degree.
family
No
who
degree. I'm
never
asking you a
owned
question.
slaves in the whole time? What about that?
Then they wouldn't pay reparations. Why would
Okay.
Why would someone who didn't
White, so
participate
there's
in
some
slavery,
white people wouldn't have to. Who would have to pay reparations? I guess.
people who enslaved black people?
So the vast majority of white people in America would not have to pay reparations, right?
It depends on whatever system.
Comes out of a fund. It's not
yeah.
about any specific white person.
Personally, I would just handle it by saying that America, as like a federal government, like as an overseeing body, is responsible for it, right? So they would have to pay those reparations, and if those reparations are taken back through, like say tariffs, maybe then we have a good reason for tariffs. I'm sure people would really love the tariffs if they were meant for reparations.
And I want to be clear, I'm not advocating on behalf of myself. My parents are from the Caribbean. I grew up in Canada, so I would not be eligible for any sort of reparations from American slavery. My grandfather was American, but we can't really prove anything beyond that. So I'm not speaking on behalf of myself. I'm just saying in general, enslaved labor built up this country. This country was a slave. This country was a slave economy longer than it has not been a slave economy. So the fact of the matter is, the only reason America was able to become an economic superpower was because of these centuries of free labor it got off the backs of enslaved black people. And so to pretend that this is something.
So wait a second, you're saying that we couldn't have got to where we're at today?
You would know what I was saying if you would stop interrupting me.
It really seems to me sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Wow.
It just seems to me that that No Degree really has a problem with slavery in general. I see No Degree making apologetics for biblical slavery.
Yeah, I have a problem with slavery, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm a slave abolitionist.
I feel like you have a problem with people that are against slavery. And that's what I mean.
What I'm trying to
you run a lot of apologetics in the debate spaces for biblical slavery, and then now you are making a big stink about reparations, which you don't completely understand. And for those that are coming in on YouTube, just be patient, please.
He also really has an issue with people who don't like sexual assault. No Degree is a big rape apologist, which makes sense because rape and slavery are inextricably tied together.
I'm trying to figure out, in South Carolina, one of the largest slave owners in the South was a black man.
The thing about it, No Degree, is
that his family have to pay slave
You're not trying to figure it
abolition?
out. You're not trying to figure it out. You're trying to obfuscate. You're trying to blame black people for slavery by saying, "Well, what about the black people?"
I'm not blaming black people. I'm just curious how this
You're trying
works.
to obfuscate. You are a racist in general. I've heard you on many different lives.
One of the biggest slave owners in the South was a black slave owner.
Do you hear yourself right now?
Does his family pay reparations? That's what I want to know.
He should.
Who benefited off of that labor? Who got rich off of this? Do they have to pay today reparations?
I
That's
would
what
say
we're
that it's the governing body, right? Like that's where the responsibility lies, right? So, however
so the government.
yeah, the government
Yeah,
that
they're
was
the ones
One
who
of
the
you,
same
sanctioned
one
the
it,
of
brought
you
it
same
to
said
you.
it would
government
be.
that was in
One of you
power.
said it would be the businesses, and now one of you saying the governing body. Which is it?
Nobody
Y'all are
said the
inconsistent.
businesses.
No
Nobody
degree.
said
Is
the
it
Yes,
businesses.
one of you just got
no
through
degree? Is
saying
it
No, we
the
is it
didn't.
insurance
possible?
companies,
Okay.
Is
things
it
like that,
possible to
right?
collect? Is it possible to collect back taxes from a business without bankrupting that business or putting that business completely under?
Sure, yeah,
Is that possible?
yeah,
So
sure.
then why? Why are you trying to frame? Why are you trying to erroneously frame reparations as somehow collecting money from these businesses to put them out of business?
Well, I'm not saying that.
Yes, you did. You said exactly that. You said, so what?
No,
You
you
want
were
to
the
put them
one
out of
that one of
business?
you said, "Are you just okay with putting them out of
No,
business?"
earlier, you're
I
the
said,
one
No,
who
"Sure." Y'all were
you
the ones
asked
that
that
implied that.
question.
Y'all aren't even
You
keeping
asked that
up with your own
question.
no,
argument here.
You
hold
asked
on,
that
hold on.
question.
No degree. You're the one who said earlier that when we brought up the fact that some of the insurance companies that got a foothold in today's economy are
I
some
didn't
of the
bring up the
largest ones
insurance company.
today,
Somebody else did.
you're the one who said, then why don't we shut it down? And I told you it's
Oh, okay,
because,
fair enough. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Just let the insurance companies benefit. All the companies, all the individual entities, like I said, this black slave owner and his family in the past who got rich off of this. Let all of them and the big insurance companies, all these mean old white people don't say, let them pay it. Why should I
the
have to pay it
government's
when
the
my
one who
family
had
Why
when
do
to
you
my
end
pay
it
family didn't
and the
anything?
one who
Do
sanctioned
you,
it.
do you
Why
agree
would
with everything
but
that that is budgeted
my
in
family
the
never
U.S. federal
benefited from it.
budget?
We were too poor.
Do you agree with everything in the U.S. federal budget?
No,
Okay, then why is this an argument then? Because you pay for a
I'm
lot of
just
things you
I'm
don't
just
agree with.
curious.
You pay for a lot of
I'm
things you
just
don't agree
curious
with.
how
You
they
pay
would.
for a lot
I'm
of
just
things you
curious.
don't agree
How
with.
did California carry it out?
Why are you
California is the
okay
fourth
with
largest economy in the world. They could
Well,
afford
y'all
it.
said California's already paid reparations. How'd they carry it out? Is what I want to know.
California is the fourth largest economy in the world. It can afford to pay
Sure.
reparations out, and it did.
Okay, but I want to know how they did it, though.
Again, they did it by a
So
combination of factors. You can look it
Taxes,
up
right?
yourself.
Raising
They did
taxes.
it by
scary
lineage. They
taxes?
did it by
Mm.
they also did it by who was directly impacted, who was a slave, who wasn't a slave. They looked at the records. You'd have to look it up there for all the ins and outs, but the basics of it were they had lineage. Everybody there who was a black person who had direct ties to American slavery had to prove that they had those direct ties, and if they did, they got reparations.
Yeah,
Okay, so
not a
I
big
would be
deal to
okay
me.
with
I
I
feel
would
like
be
this
okay
isn't a
with
big deal, and it could actually
reparations
correct a lot of
as
the.
long as it doesn't come out of my
one thing they
pocket.
did in
How's that?
California that was good, that was a direct response, that was like directly impactful, that was responding directly to a problem, was they took a beachfront property that was taken from a black family years ago for no other reason than the fact that they were black, and the government was able to just take property from black people. They were able to take whatever they wanted from black people because they didn't
And
have
they
any
gave
rights,
it back to them.
and they gave it back to that
Good,
family.
good. That's good. Yeah.
And that is a way to directly
Okay.
give back to, like, even looking at stuff like, look, like if you look at some of these sugar plantations, for instance, in Louisiana, you can look at where the rights to those plantations were sold to, and like what companies they turned into. Like a lot of them turned into like companies that are still in business today. You can take the money, you can take the profits from that and give it to the descendants of the people whose labor made that company possible. And I don't understand why you have a problem with that. I don't
Well,
understand why you have to take issue with that.
that sounds
What
pretty good. I like that. Let me ask you something. Let's say you guys are living in a
I
really
wasn't finished.
nice.
I wasn't finished.
Oh,
Like
I'm
you
saying
keep
that
like
I
you keep
don't
saying
have a problem with that. Yeah.
you keep saying you want it. You keep saying you're curious about this, but like you don't. But you're not actually listening, and you haven't done any research. So it leads me to believe that you're not curious, and you just want to obfuscate.
Oh, I'm already agreeing with you here. I'm open to it.
Then why do you keep talking about black people getting rich off of slavery?
Well,
Who is it?
I wanted to
Who was this black
give
family that got?
I wanted to give another hypothetical real quick.
Who's this black? No. Let's go back to this black family you were talking about who got rich off of slavery. What was their name? What were their names?
I can't remember his name.
And you know for a fact that they're still rich today.
No,
How were they?
I don't know. They may
How were
be
they?
dirt poor today, for all I know.
How were they? How were they practicing slavery? Were they practicing slavery as
They
overseers, or did they
this
own slaves?
Yeah, do you have their names?
is a black man who owned. He was at one
What
point
was
the
his name?
largest slaveholder in South Carolina. Black man owning other
Can I
black
get
slaves.
something to like where I can look this up?
You could Google it.
What?
Hello, I'd like to interject.
largest slave
Your mom, can I get your
black slave
age real
owner
quick?
in South Carolina.
All right, no degree,
Ooh.
just one moment while I'm looking that up. Your mom, can I get your age real quick?
I just looked it up.
Yes,
It's not true.
I'm 24.
All right. And Duke, you said that wasn't
it's
true.
not
You just
true?
looked it up?
Yeah, the largest slave owner in South Carolina was never a black person.
Maybe it was Mississippi then. It was it was either South Carolina or Mississippi.
It's amazing how
this?
the state changes when no degree is proven wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was South Carolina.
It's not true. It's not true at all. But I was trying to get him there.
Well, what I'm saying here is, we know that black
No
degree. And one of them was the largest.
No degree. What you said was not true. Black people did not own slaves in the same way that white people own slaves. Black people were sometimes put in position.
Yes, they did too.
But
that's not true. They literally bought them just like white people.
How would it? They sometimes, you know what they did? You know what they did?
Because they had their freedom. They got their freedom. They weren't slaves.
They sometimes bought
slaves.
They sometimes bought their own family. They sometimes bought their own family back.
Oh my gosh! Y'all don't? Did y'all not
Let's
learn
see
this
here.
stuff? Okay, I'm gonna Google.
One
it.
moment here. Okay, yeah.
Hold
I get what you're. Yeah, you don't have to keep rambling.
I'm gonna get the information.
No degree. You don't have to ramble. I have an announcement here. We have a $5 super chat from Noah 78516. I'm a non-woke socialist anarchist, is what they said. Everyone should read "Left is Not Woke" by Susan Neiman. Wokeism is inherently right wing. Okay. Sure.
What was the name of the book again? I want to write that down.
The Left is Not Woke, or something like that. Yeah, Left is Not Woke.
By who again?
Susan Neiman. So your mom, what brings you up?
I think, okay, I can totally understand where literally both sides of this argument's coming from. But I will say, the older I get, the more I can. Let me finish. The more I can really understand how much I did not know about black slavery in the United States, and the more I realized, I had. I was really ignorant to a lot of what was going on. I learned where the term MFer came from, and it is not cool. Not cool at all. And what I would like to point out is not that, we shouldn't or shouldn't pay reparations. I wouldn't like to address that, there was an actual black slave owner in the South.
Nobody said there wasn't black slave owners. What we're saying is his claim that the largest one was a black person. That's not true.
No, yeah, that was probably a bit stretched.
William
be a little bit more educated before you come on this thing.
1861 was his last year, but he started in the 1700s to 1860s. A farmer who, according to AI Overview, is generally considered during
South
that time
Carolina.
one of the largest slave owner in that area of the South Carolina.
He owned 63 slaves.
Cool. That's interesting. Not cool.
Yeah.
But I would like to.
So
I would like to bring up.
Does his family have to pay reparations? Is my question.
Again, the families aren't the ones who pay the reparations. No degree.
Oh, but they're the ones that own the slaves.
Personally, there's different ways we could go around about it. Like, this is not really like the topic either. Like, I mean, like, sure, it is sort of like about that. So like, I think that reparations and talking about it generally, but like when we're trying to get into the minutiae of like how you would pay back reparations, first of all, I would like to just, ask you like whether or not reparations are something that you would be open to, for people that are still affected by, what is happening or what has happened from slavery. Would you be okay with like reparations for them? No
Are you
degree.
asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
Okay. So then we don't need to talk about the specifics of it, right? So you're not opposed to it.
We do, because I may be opposed to it depending on the specifics.
Okay, so let's say that you end up paying the same amount of taxes that you normally pay. They just earmark a different part of the budget. They cut it out of the defense spending, or like Trump gives back the $10 billion that he took for his peace thing. and we just take that 10 billion and pay that back as reparations. Why not?
I would say take the money.
You didn't vote
you
for
given.
Trump to take 10 billion out of the budget for his little peace party that he's having. That
I'd
like
say
none of
take
the
it out
other
of the,
G7 countries are even a part of.
I would say take it out of the probably like social programs budget.
Why? Social programs have been shown to return income.
Pay other people,
No, social
but
program
let
is really
let the
nice.
Yeah, I'm just
billionaires
saying
get more
that
money.
would work. Really
That makes
good.
no sense.
I'd say like the maybe
So hurt more people, make more people starve, so that other
welfare
billionaires don't
stuff,
have to pay.
budgets for welfare and stuff.
I
You
mean,
probably
take it away
out of
from
that.
all the money we're giving to Israel. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, wait a second. The
I'm fine
idea
with
here
that.
is to try to get them. I mean, the reparations.
What about the money that's
you
going to
know,
social
so
programs
just
to Israel? Would you be
give
fine
them
with
that,
it coming out
'cause-
of that budget?
Well, let me ask you something.
What do you mean?
What
What do
about
you
all
mean?
the
Wait a minute. Wait a
all
minute.
the
No degree.
people
What do
who
you mean?
got all
What
this
do you mean?
money
Give
from
them
social
that.
programs?
So you're saying take. So you're saying
Aren't
take
they?
welfare.
Didn't they
so,
kind of essentially get paid back?
so you're saying, well, they can't get welfare and reparations. So because your assumption that all your assumption that all the people who would be getting reparations are on welfare.
That's
No.
an assumption.
No, I'm just
Which
saying
also
that
means
would
you're
be
going to be
since,
taking away services and benefits from poor people in other
or white
demographics that
people
aren't
too,
black.
right? Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that by taking it from social programs, you're hurting other people to try to repair the hurt that we caused a different group of people. That don't make no sense. Take it from the military budget that is overbloated and overexpanded and overused and unnecessary.
I'm not saying that
Or
that's a
tax-
bad idea.
Or tax the relevant profiteers and business owners and
Yeah.
corporations directly.
That's
That might
also
be
a solid idea.
Yeah, I mean, like
Or
that.
do both.
There's
Yeah.
many ways that we could approach this. That's why I think like getting stuck in the like, why not first just come to a common ground and be like, you're obviously not opposed to this, so I don't understand why we're trying to like figure out like, well, am I paying for like you pay for all kinds of stuff that you don't agree with. So
The fact of the matter is, like, this is all like an obfuscation. Like the
Yeah.
objection from people like No Degree is not about like they could announce, like, the companies could announce that they are going to willingly foot the bill for all, requested reparations, and that would still offend him because he doesn't want black people getting anything. He does not want black people getting anything that he's not getting.
How about
He
this?
doesn't want. He doesn't even want black people getting some stuff that he is getting because No Degree is a fucking racist, and that's what it boils down to.
How about this? How about we we do it only if Trump is the one that decides where
Why?
it comes from.
How about
What?
Trump directly
Why
pay
Trump?
them?
yeah, why
No,
not
no,
Because
Trump?
I think Trump would be smart enough to know where it would be.
No,
good
he's
to take
not.
it
He's a
from.
fraudster. He would take
And
it
I would
himself.
say-
He steals money. What are you talking about?
Yes, let's
Trump
let the man
doesn't give money. He steals it.
let's let the man who bankrupted a casino allocate reparation money. The man who
Right.
wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm
the man
saying
who wouldn't.
he
Trump
would,
is
he
known
would
to
know
be
best.
really
He's
bad with
been
money.
through it.
Black
He
tenants.
knows. Yeah.
The
He's
man who
been
wouldn't
through it.
rent to
He
black
knows
tenants and
what's happening.
is bad at business.
Okay,
Also,
I'm saying if
also No
if
Degree.
Trump
No
would
Degree.
be
There's
the
not.
guy
There,
to trust
no,
with, I'll say
No
that.
Degree. Who allocates funds in our government? Who decides where money goes?
The Congress. Sorry,
branch of
I'm going to
government?
answer it. It's Congress. Congress owns the power of the purse, right?
Yeah. There's nothing in executive power that would outline such a. There's nothing in executive responsibilities that would outline such a power. You fucking potato. Like,
I would
do you
put
really
it-
like? You
I
don't.
would
Do you really know
let
that little
Trump
about your own
write it into
government?
his big beautiful bill.
I don't think name calling is necessary. Low key.
Fuck you. You're a 24-year-old. You don't know anything about slavery.
Dog, that's an assumption. That's not cool.
No, that's
Okay.
actually like the truth.
I say let
speak to, like,
Trump.
I think-
There's not really a
I
need
think
to-
this
Into
argument is
his big,
redundant when there are
beautiful bill, and
currently
then I'd be okay
slaves
with it.
in the world right now. There's kids still being molested.
They're
This
not
entire
in the
argument
US.
is
The West
redundant.
slaves-
I mean,
Why are
like,
you worried
still,
about
It's not redundant.
reparations for the past when
What
are you
stuff is still
oh,
going
all
on?
right,
That's
sir.
what I came
Okay.
up here
maybe
to talk
because
about.
things
Alright.
like racism,
It's
climate,
very easy.
Two things can be true at
easy for you to
once.
say that.
Well
mom.
said.
Everybody,
Yes.
all right, mute up. Everybody, your mom. Two things can be true at once. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey.
So, what's your point?
I have.
I think arguments like this when there's currently way bigger things going on is just straight up redundant.
Can y'all
Bigger
hear me
things.
or no?
Bigger
Like-
things, yes. There's kids being molested and eaten
Well
right now.
said, your mom.
And
well
you're worried
said.
about reparations for things that happened in the past. Yes, those things were terrible. Don't get me wrong. But there's Chinese slaves in China right now,
Are we not allowed to talk
enslaved by
about
their
what
own
we
Chinese
think?
government.
I don't understand.
Wait,
Yeah,
your mom-
like
can I
I
say something real
recognize
quick?
that injustice is happening around the world. But we're talking about, you know, reparations at this point. Like by trying to change the subject, you're now diminishing like this also like injustice, like this other injustice that we were focusing on. Like you're trying to take the focus and move it away from what we were just talking about to something else. Like we understand that. We can talk about that.
Right, we're allowed to care about more than one thing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's not that we're tunnel visioned onto one thing here. It's just that like what are we going to do? Like sit here and like spontaneously jump around from one injustice to another? Like let's try and figure one thing out at a time.
What I don't understand.
He also
is,
doesn't
like,
care about
why
any
do
of the
you
other
care so much
other
about
things he's bringing up.
reparations?
Like
What
this
is
is
the
all
benefit of
performance.
talking about it so much?
I don't get it too. Like, why do we have to choose between the like disenfranchisement of children, disenfranchisement of BOK people in America, and expect like us to take it on the chin?
Because like No Degree, it's about black people. Like he does not want anything. He does not want anything being given to black people. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I
No,
agree.
I'm
Anything
saying
out of
it.
his
let,
pocket.
Let Trump budget it with big beautiful
Why-
bill
Trump-
too
the
next year.
Trump
when he,
doesn't-
when he
presidents
budgets
don't
again,
No Degree.
Trump can figure this out.
Here's
I
a little
think-
lesson
man,
for
I
you
think
in
he'd know
civics.
best.
Committed fraud
The
and
executive-
stole money.
The executive
Why
branch
would you
does
let
not
a man who committed fraud
do budgets.
and
No Degree. Do you think that Trump wrote the big
and
beautiful
why
bill?
would you want a fraudster who stole money?
All right, I'm gonna
Do you think
disconnect
Trump
your
wrote
mom.
the big beautiful bill?
Peachy, how's it going?
Everything's doing all right. I don't know if I glitched out or anything.
No, I don't think
No, you're
he.
fine.
I don't think he wrote it, but I think he had a lot of influence in the big beautiful bill. So let
Do you
him
think he did
advise
the
them on what.
do you think he did the budgeting, the math? Like why are you like what are you talking about?
I'm
Yeah.
sure he did. I mean, I'm sure he had a lot of input in it.
So
sure.
Congress
No,
in the
I
I don't
House,
think
didn't.
he. I don't think he did
the House and Congress,
crunch the numbers. I
appropriate.
think
they
his
appropriate the
associates
money and then they pass it,
people
and then the
work for
president
him.
signs it, right? So it's not the
Yeah, but he's
president.
going to obviously look into it, make sure it's legit.
You're
I would be
speaking
shocked
over
if
me.
Trump
You're not listening.
He doesn't have the capability to even read the bill.
Let's mute up for the host for a
Yeah.
second.
Azriel, are you there? I can't hear you.
Can I acknowledge something really quickly, after this?
All right, Azriel's not responding. Yeah, Peachy.
Let me down.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention something real quick. I usually don't like go into like a panel and then discuss something
Yeah.
from the comments, but I think it's important to the conversation. Megan mentioned something about because I said that slavery is still happening in America. I gave her the example coercific slavery held prisons and the over policing of Black communities. She said, "You think slavery is the same as prison?" The thing about like coercific is that they profit from how many people are in the prison. So like oftentimes there's injustices where it's one poor treatment, people getting longer sentences than they need to, and more people being thrown in jail because they profit from that
Yeah.
amount.
Profiting
held-
from free labor is
Yeah.
like it's slavery, right? That's slavery.
Yeah, it
So-
is. It is.
There you
Hey,
go.
hey,
It's written into the 13th
Hear me?
Amendment.
Mhm.
We also know that there are ways, like there are direct ways where you can increase the prison population, right? Where like if you cut, for instance, we know we have decades of research. We know that if you cut things like after school programs and free lunch in low income areas, you are guaranteed to have a steady flow of prison population. It's, it's the school to prison pipeline. It's not just a buzzword. Like there's ways to do this. They do it with surgical precision. They use all that research that was done where they're like, hey, if you want to reduce crime, this is how you do it. You fund after school programs. You fund things like Jack and Jill and Brothers and Sisters. But like when you take all that stuff away, the inverse is that you have criminals now. They know all this. So it is a way that slavery is perpetuated. And also like what Peace just said, like the modern prison system as we know it, the modern carceral system came about as a result of the end of slavery. where they needed a way to criminalize blackness, where they had like anti-loitering laws. They made it illegal to be homeless because we had this whole population of black people who were like, they had nowhere to go after slavery was abolished. And so they were able, the slave catchers became cops. They became prison wardens, and it sort of became this system that we know today. It's not that the system that we have today in terms of like the carceral system is not that old. It's actually very, sorry.
No, you're all good. I was going to mention something too. I don't know, like you can fact check me on this because there are like some claims that that it may be like some type of propaganda against the union or something to that effect. But like there's this thing that I remember reading about called like the Devil's Punch Bowl, in which it was a quote unquote like refugee camp thing in which newly freed enslaved people after the Civil War was put into like this area, and it just led to like starvation and the spread of smallpox because it was like so like crowded and stuff. And then like talking about like the prison camps too during the Civil War and the mistreatment between like the BLK soldiers and YT soldiers.
That's true.
It's just
And they
something
also,
that like
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to hear that. Like that sounds about par for the course, especially like in like that era of time. There was a lot of stuff that we still see today. I mean, like redlining of cities is a direct response of like slavery and how that was being handled basically once the Civil War
building
ended.
highways in black communities.
Well,
Mhm.
we still
And
have
it's-
sundown towns, for God's sake.
totally. And it all speaks to the idea of like, I think that a lot of people have this idea that that Abraham Lincoln and sort of the people who were fighting and the white soldiers who were fighting for the Union, they were fighting because they thought that slavery was morally wrong. When there were not many white people who had a moral objection to slavery back then. Wanting slavery to end and wanting slavery to end is not the same thing as wanting black people to be free among you. And none of them wanted free black people living among them. Like Abraham Lincoln himself appropriated like the equivalent of $500,000 in today's money from Congress to look into a project to like build ships to take black people once they were free out of the country. Like he didn't care where, just like take them away. Like they
He
didn't
even
want us
famously
there.
said that he didn't want to end slavery, and if he could, he wouldn't have.
Right, exactly. Like because he was saying like if he could end the war by freeing every slave, he would do it. If he could end it by freeing no slaves, he would do it. He would do that too. Like it didn't matter to him one way or the other. So this idea that like there were no one wanted us here. So it would make sense that like finding ways to criminalize us or like keep us away from them in ways that disenfranchise us was it's not impossible to think that would be written into law everywhere, not just in the South.
Right. I mean, I see it here in Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm at. So like, yeah, it's very prevalent in more than just the South.
That's like some of the stuff that kind of bothered me too when it comes to like what your mom said when he was like on here like earlier, because all of these things go hand in hand. Like things like classism, racism, sexism, ableism, these things either is like a product of another issue or was weaponized to further demonize the marginalized group inside another. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying like woke is right. Just being aware of these things is half the battle, if not like most of it. Mr. Fisher, David Fisher, are you there?
I am.
All right, can I get your age real quick?
63.
All right, and what's your take?
Well, I've been listening for a few minutes. I was listening to
Appreciate that.
some of the slavery being like related to the modern prison system or whatever, and being biased against the black community. And so just real quick, I'm white as white, dude. I'm pale damn white. So I got caught growing pot in Michigan. I got sent to prison for 3 years. Was doing a 3 to 8. I met black men that were in there who were in there for doing a cocaine deal and shooting a guy
Can we?
And they were doing
You
the
got to
same.
watch your language. Just sorry on TikTok. So when you say like those words,
Sorry,
like
pew pew to guy.
say
Yeah,
like
yep,
schmugs or like
yep.
snow or like
Pew
just try.
pew to
Yeah,
guy.
pew pew. Yeah, sorry.
He was doing
It
it.
sounds stupid, but yeah.
He was doing the same amount of time that I was given. So honestly, I've experienced the.
I would say that you're a part of a bad like justice system, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely, I agree. The justice system is very
I don't know if like that really
screwed
had
up.
too much to deal with like it sounds to me like you're taking a nuanced like issue or like it's something that happened to you and what you noticed and then you're trying to apply it like on the systemic level. And I think that
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people do and that's not really like what the point is. The point is that overall, like I worked in a county jail for 6 years. I worked in admissions, so I was that guy that would have to like categorize your property and your money, and then have you sign off on it. Just to make sure that you didn't, in case something was missing or whatever. So yeah, I did that for years, overnights. And it's in a large city. It's a metropolitan area of about 1 million people. And I would say largely, we would notice that like most of the population, I could probably actually pull up the demographics of that specific county jail. And you're going to notice that like, yeah, a large population of them are, African American or black.
I would say 65% of the population when I was in was black.
Yeah. And
We
like that doesn't mean that like black people are going to like be more dangerous as much as Charlie Kirk like tries to like or tried I guess to push that topic. It's also that we have like a ideology that has like come from the history of America.
also, like, we know that personal experience is not necessarily,
Right.
it doesn't trump data, as someone in the comments pointed out, right? Like, your experience very well may be true, David, but we know from very extensively fact check data going over decades of both like arrests and sentencing that black people and white people are sentenced very differently for the same crime. Like, there's a disparity in sentencing for the same crime where black people tend to get sentenced much more harshly than white people on average, like in general. And it's not like it's not like a little bit. It's a very clear implicit bias in the judicial system against
Right.
black people.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that like if you are white that you are like guilty, right? Like implicitly being biased means that you don't know, like you're not aware of these biases. They're inherent. They're kind of built in to the way you're raised, into like the way that decisions are made, the way that healthcare works, the way that criminal justice works. There was a study, for instance, on they would ask like these officers uh how old they thought somebody was, and they would show them pictures, and they like clearly thought that young black kids that were the same age as the kids that they were accurately aging, that weren't black, they were saying that the black kids were older, and that was just showing that they have this inherent, kind of like built in idea in their head that, like there's something going on here psychologically in a collective sense.
Well, I work in education, and speaking to that, like, it's funny what I just talked about sentencing in schools. Like, black kids tend to get suspended and or expelled more often than their white counterparts for the same behavior. So, like, the sentencing disparity, as it were, it goes back. It even extends into like schools and
Mhm.
how disciplinary action is taken.
Yeah, and here, like, I'll pull up. So, let me see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, so this is the study, and I can try and get it a better thing on it. If I can find my. Oh my gosh, I love you, OBS. I just love you so much. There we go. Gonna do this, and then do. Basically, it's called Black Boys Viewed as Older and Less Innocent as White. Research finds. And I'm trying to get this to like fit the screen. It's hard to do when you have a million things going on. All right. So yeah, Washington, black boys as young as 10 may not be viewed in the same light of childhood innocence as their white peers, but are instead more likely to be mistaken as older, be perceived as guilty, and face police violence if accused of a crime, according to a new research published by the American Psychological Association, the APA, which is like the leading authority on these types of topics. So, anybody's free to look at this up. It's at the APA website, apa.org. You can just type into Google, like black boys viewed as older. And yeah, it clearly shows that there is an inherent bias that goes on. And we got to be aware of that. And that's like what we mean by woke, is just being like simply aware of things like that. And even with like critical race theory, like that's all it is. It's just kind of pointing out that there's systemically things that are mentioned or that are happening, and we just need to be aware of these so we can maybe address the issue. Part of it is just seeing the issue and being aware of it before you can even like try to approach fixing an issue.
So somebody mentioned data. Well, data only comes from
Thank you, Peach.
lived experiences. That's where we collect data from.
Yes, but whereas your lived experience only covers your scope and what you're seeing, whereas data covers the entire landscape. Because you can only your experience is a lot more narrow than you realize. And I know that we all live in our worlds, and we think that what we're seeing is reality to us. I'm not trying to take that away from you. Nor am I trying to imply that white people can't be disenfranchised by the criminal justice system. It sounds like you were.
Yeah.
And that's valid. It's valid to feel anger about that, and to feel resentment about that, and to feel like it sounds like injustice was done in terms of how you were sentenced.
Well,
but that doesn't speak to the system as a whole necessarily.
Okay, so I was in for 3 years, and I don't care what color you are, dude. White, black, whatever. There's good and bad people in every color because I've met them. I've been around. So I'm a marijuana advocate. Can I say marijuana?
I'm not sure. Just say devil's lettuce.
Okay. So the lettuce issue.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in that for many years. And I admit most of the guys that I was locked up with were from the city, more towards Detroit, Farmington, down that way. But through my entire life, I've never even thought of carrying a pew. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Almost every single black man from the city absolutely did. They'd tell you that was the...
Once again, like you're taking an anecdote and you're trying to apply it to something like you have not lived as a black man, right? So you've not lived your life as a black man. So you don't know. I mean, so what I'm saying is that you may not know what type of life that entails, right?
Exactly.
So to like judge somebody on exercising their Second Amendment right because they may want to protect themselves, I think is only American, if anything. Like, I mean, to judge them is like not like I don't understand why you would want to like make that point.
This wouldn't be
legal. David, I want to ask you something quickly.
This wouldn't be legal carrying Second Amendment. No, this was just that was the culture. That's the way it was down there, and that's what
I want to push back on the idea that no. I want to push back on the idea that it's a culture.
That's just the way it was.
David, do you know what the biggest driver of crime is? Like what the biggest indicator of crime is? Just universally.
Money?
Yeah, it's poverty, which is money, right?
Yeah. Related.
Do you think that there have been systems brought about in the history and also the present of this country that maybe make it difficult or significantly more difficult than say their white counterparts for black people to sort of accumulate wealth, like generational wealth?
Well,
like
I would have to say, at least through my lived experience, no.
You don't think so. You know that like there were instances of the actual government going into black communities that were prospering, like in Tulsa, and destroying them. You know, there's Black Wall Street, which was just destroyed. Like there are many instances we were just talking about before where they took beachfront property from a black family, and that's money. That's money that's money that's generational wealth that they did not have access to, just because white people decide they shouldn't have it. That kind of thing happened all the time, and it has a generational effect. So for you to say that it's the culture is like do you think that black people are culturally like committed to crime?
Yeah, like I would say it's not cultural. It's more related to, you know, the position that they may have been put in, you know, after centuries of you know, like kind of keeping them down in comparison to, you know, other citizens.
Well, I would absolutely say.
Because David, no, just one more thing. Like, if what you were saying was true, David, then we wouldn't see the fact that when you control for socioeconomic class, like the crime rates between black people and white people are pretty similar. In fact, white people commit more wealthy white people commit more white collar crime than wealthy black people. So I'm curious, like, if you can look at that and still say what you're saying.
You know, that's so true too. Like people that like I mean, it just to bring up my own anecdotes, like that I've worked with, just because I've you know, worked in the financial sector, and part of like, you know, taking in money at the jail was you dealt with a lot of cash, and the white folk that I worked with were certainly not as careful as the black like coworkers that I had. Like that was certainly a thing because they were afraid, you know, because they were afraid that, you know, they'd have closer eyes on them, you know, or that any kind of mistake could be like blown up in their face. And that's something that I feel like they may have to like live with on like a larger scale. And I feel like that's stressful, right? Like that's just not how I want my fellow Americans to live. You know, like, yeah, they're not stealing money, and like, yeah, they're being more careful, and maybe the white like workers should be more careful too. But the thing is that they're just like living in a constant state of fear, which may be why they are arming themselves. Are you there, David?
I'm here.
Okay. So yeah, that's just kind of like where my response would come from for, you know, that it's not really a cultural thing that it's coming from. It's stemming from more of a economic placement results of, you know, post-slavery America, post-antebellum America.
The best analogy I have ever heard for it is this. It's like white people were playing Monopoly for hundreds of years and didn't let black people play. And then so once all the properties got all bought up and all the money out of the bank, except for like $5, that's when they started letting black people play the game. They gave them that last $5 and said, good luck. But their only property left to buy was Baltic.
Right.
In Reading Railroad, that's it.
Right. Not even reading Railroad was, I think they get like a little bit extra on reading. You gotta have like the one that nobody wants, I guess, or something.
Short line.
Yeah, short line. 13 to 50 is a lie and impossible. I don't know what's going on over in the YouTube chat. It looks like we're having a 13% doing 51%. What?
Oh, they're doing the racist 1350 myth. Yeah.
What's that?
Black people are 13% of the population, and we commit 50% of the crime.
Oh my gosh. And you think that's because of like their like being black? It has nothing to do with the fact that they have been pushed to, you know, like poor neighborhoods. They are not given quite the same education opportunities, especially after, you know, like, or like work opportunities after like DEI. The access to
it's also arrest. It's also arrest, not conviction. And Black people are overrepresented per capita in terms of exonerations. So
Again, this is just my lived experience. So I met my wife of 36 years. I lost her a few years ago.
I'm
I'm
sorry to hear
sorry.
that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
sorry.
life.
Yeah.
So she had a 9-month-old baby. Her husband was a piece of crap. So we were renting a trailer. I was working a full-time job down in town. I was bringing home $117 a week. 117. That was for a 40-hour work week. And I was working. Plastic factory. So, yeah, things were tough. I mean, we had to watch every dollar. I didn't resort to crime.
You're
I just, hold on. I just dealt with life as how it comes. And
That's
I'm
a
not
very
pointing
privileged take. Like,
And I'm not-
honestly,
hold on.
that's still a privileged take. No matter
How
what,
is
like,
that
I don't,
privileged?
because, like, you just saying that you didn't have to do these things doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have, like, the way that you live is not the same as the way as everybody else lives, right?
Why isn't it?
Everybody lives their own nuanced life.
Okay.
And the things that come up in their lives are specific to them. So to like
and
yeah.
totally. And the real crime I see it is like what they were paying you. Like no one should have been paying you that little for your labor.
Well,
Like
this was
your
minimum
labor
wage
is worth your
This was
your
minimum
labor.
wage at the time. Just the
Yeah,
way
and
it was.
don't you think it's wrong? Don't you think it's wrong that minimum wage is not enough to live on? Like, don't you think it's
Yeah.
wrong that they were exploiting you like that?
Well, I'm not sure if the system can. I know it's easy to say these things. Everybody, if you work,
Like you should, like what they did to you was wrong. Like
money to live. Hold on, and I understand this, and that would be a perfect world, and I would love if things were that way, but it's kind of not. I live in Michigan. I own my own home. I ran my own business for 11 years. Since had to close it. But anyways, I was pretty lucky. You know, I got out of the joint and just worked. I was working a job. I put 96 hours in a 1 week before. I was working 80 some hours consistently for 11 months. I couldn't do much else. I was on parole, so I ate that up. But that allowed me to save the money to start my business. Nobody's given me anything. Hold on. I don't like when I'm told that I'm in a different situation. No, I created my situation.
right, but you're talking about a
things-
situation you created. They didn't create the situation they're in.
Yeah,
That's
this
what
like
Benny was saying. That's a
But I
privileged
was-
take.
yeah,
but
like
I
the
was-
the
Just
bootstraps
because you
rhetoric
had it-
is so like dumb to me.
Yeah, just because
Why?
you were poor doesn't mean that that your oppression or the things that happened to you wrong and the way you handled them are equivocal to what we're talking about.
Why not?
Because they're not, because you don't have the system set up against you specifically as a white person.
I don't see the system set up differently.
That's
for
because
anyone.
you're seeing it
That's what
only
I'm
from
saying.
your perspective, and that's what
No,
we're saying.
That's not correct.
That is, because that's what you're describing is your perspective.
No, that's not.
When you say I did this, I didn't have that, then that's literally your perspective, my guy.
Yeah, like for instance, I went to like I got diagnosed with cancer. I went to the hospital. I was able to get enough health care to be past my own cancer, right? Like, so I'm in remission now. Does that mean that everybody that died of cancer could have just did what I did? Like there's things that you have power over, and then there's things you don't have power over.
or people who couldn't find the resources for treatment for whatever reason.
Right.
Which like I saw one of your videos where you said that like the thing that scares you the most is not the diagnosis itself, but like going into medical debt, which I think like, man, that's a fucking indictment on this country.
Yeah, it's wild that like the scarier part was just like, how am I going to pay for all of this, right? And I'm still paying out of my ass for all of that. Like, sorry, student loans, you're gonna have to take a break. But
the point is that just because some of your disparities have been have been parallel and you happen to get out of it does not mean that those disparities are actually the same.
Right. It'd be like telling people that are terminally ill with cancer that since I was able to come out of my cancer diagnosis, that they, since they're going to die, that's their fault and not, like the cancer's fault or anything like that.
Right.
Well, what I'm saying is
And if you put a person in a position where they're making as little as you, and they have a family to feed, and they're not making enough money to feed their family, and then they've already been incarcerated because of circumstances where like their parents were impoverished and they had to make money somehow. Like, we have to survive. And I'm not condoning crime, but also like that's the way we create crime is by creating these systems where people have no choice but to they become desperate.
So I
You know,
got
like we're resilient creatures. We're not just going to allow ourselves to starve, right?
Right.
Or
I
our
lost
children.
Go on. What was that, David?
Like, David, are you a father?
Did I lose you?
Well, actually, guys, I do have somebody else on my other call-in platform here. I'm gonna try and bring them up. So I do have to clear the board out. I do appreciate you guys coming up, and hopefully I can get some guests coming up here again over on the TikTok end. But I do
gotta
have a
go
lot of
anyway,
people
but
that.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you. I did get you up as a mod. It took me
Awesome.
a while. I had to figure that out.
Thanks.
Jeez, it's
No
like a
worries.
Why are you guys not tapping the screen? We should be higher than 5.4. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
come on,
right.
guys. Let's get this chat going. We got a little bit of time. David, what's your last thoughts? Oh, you leave.
Okay, so before I leave, real quick, I got out. You carry that felon word around with you. Nobody hires you. I put in application after application. I'm talking dozens, 40 some. Never got a call.
Yeah,
so I
that's
took a
messed up.
job. It's just the way it was. That F word follows you around. So I took a job. Again, minimum wage in a factory. That's where I was working the 90 some hours a week. And it did get better the longer I stayed there. But, that's what I had at the time. And like I say, that hard work allowed me to open my business 3 years later. So sometimes I don't know. I'm really a person, I don't look for blame anywhere. I just do what I do. Take that for what you will, I guess.
Okay. Thank you for coming up. All right.
All
So gonna just I don't really quite want to breeze past that. It's just lived experiences and anecdotal things are not universal truths, right? So that's what I would just say to keep in mind. Okay. Are you there? Leah Bobia?
I believe so.
Okay, I can hear you. Just for TikTok purposes, can I get your age real quick?
Oh, sure, I'm 34.
All right. And what brings you on?
I'm an oldie. Well, I was just listening to this recent conversation just now. I've been listening for a few minutes on my way home from
Oh, thank you.
family. And I had seen you in the past and wanted to call in, I believe. I'd had you saved. I had subscribed, so I kept seeing your
cool.
stream today. But anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. To answer your question, I like the prompt generally because I could say a whole lot about woke, but as it pertains to this recent conversation, I think it's really interesting that a lot of people today seem to think that healthcare is a human right. Is that what you believe?
That healthcare, like, I mean, it's a right that is given to us in the Constitution. The overall well-being of the citizens, or not even citizens, just the people within the borders, is something that is like written right in the preamble.
So you think that means healthcare, like when it says life, liberty, pursuit
like
of happiness?
no, it's for the like national defense. Let me pull it up here.
Or the well-being of all within its nation. I think I know the part you're talking about, although I can bring it to my head.
Yeah, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, and ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Yeah, so I would say like promoting the general welfare would include healthcare.
Okay, I've never seen somebody take that. approach to it. Definitely an interesting argument. Like I said, I've never heard it before. I don't know that that would be the case, though. See, I think when our nation was founded, they had all these amazing ideas. One second, baby, please calm down. Thank you. Yeah, gets the background,
Mhm.
and I think that they had a lot of great ideals, and they talk about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. They wanted freedoms of everything from speech, religion, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think there's some things that go beyond the control of the government that fall into the responsibility of the citizens, right? And my question to people who promote some type of universal health care generally or want to hand it over to the government is, while it would be great to have it subsidized person per person, like for the citizens, it wouldn't cost us as much, at least on the front end, although there's arguments for the back end of taxes, yada yada. Do we
Mhm.
really want the government to also have control over that? Because a lot of my
Well,
quote unquote woke
so
friends hate the government, right? So
there's
it's like,
different ways to approach universal healthcare, right? So like in like Bernie Sanders like Medicare for All program, all it is like a single payer, right? So that just means that instead of having all these private healthcare, profiting, like, cuz look at like what your premiums for your healthcare, like I don't care what, like if you have privatized insurance, you're paying premiums each month, right? So I personally, like, I pay like a couple $100 each month, I believe, and then I have to pay
yeah,
deductible, and then I have to pay co-insurance,
right.
and
So
the price of the healthcare itself doesn't really change too much. What does change though is the profit margins of the insurance companies that want to do like different things like marketing. They want to pay out bonuses, they want to pay out dividends to shareholders, and that's kind of where we could cut out that fat, right? And unnecessary spending by having a single payer, which would be, just like funneled through the government. This is not saying that the government decides. I mean, shoot, insurance has already turned me down on things that have saved my life. So like I'm already getting turned down for shit that I needed, and I'm paying for that insurance. So like I don't understand what you mean by like the government deciding something. It's just simply that instead of having all these different insurance companies paying your like hospital bills or whatever, or portions of them, it would just be through Medicare, which
right.
we already have. It's a system we already have, and a lot of
Well,
people are already on it, and it's successful.
mhm. You think it's successful? You would call Medicare successful?
Yeah, for the most part, yes. I would say as a program that is helping out people that don't have the means to pay for these things, that yes, it gives them the access, and it does like make the process of getting things like processed, I guess. The efficiency is there. Like there's not a lot of hold up when it comes to getting paid, like for like the provider level, by Medicare providers.
Right. Well, and a lot of that is like in private insurance or company subsidized insurance, corporate, whatever the name is. I'm not an expert in any of this, but I know in some,
Mhm.
like, you would get a company, for example, they are allowed to turn you down 2 or 3 times before they pay for something, even if it is life saving, like you
Right. So,
mentioned,
yeah,
et
like
cetera.
AI, they're implementing AI for a lot of it, where, and it could be
Autom-
something as simple as like a billing code, being like not exactly what they're looking for, and they'll say like, no, you're denied. Here you got to spend $20,000. That's on you now. Uh,
right.
and then what happens is you call your insurance. They say, okay, you got to file an appeal. Then you call, then you say, how do I file an appeal? And they say, you don't do it, your provider does it. Then you got to call your provider and then let them know. And they usually either half the time
And
do
hope
know, or the other half they don't. And then you have to let them know that they have to file that appeal. And then uh, you may get that $20,000 brought down to just a couple $100, or it may be covered completely. The thing is, though, is that it is not good to open up your mail one day and see a $20,000 bill that says that you need to pay this,
oh, I know
because you were just denied for
$8.
a CAT scan on your pelvis, because like the area that this cancer normally goes to is your abdomen, but when they like did previous
They
scans,
put
they
the fill
they
coding
they
in and
included the
yeah,
pelvis because of that's where they found more cancer. And then they were
Yeah.
trying to tell me that like that wasn't going to be covered because it included the pelvis on the CAT scan. Like that, to me, this shit is like wild.
It really is. And also, by the way, praise God, or if you don't believe in God, thank goodness, thank universe, whatever
Sure.
you may believe in.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be any type of way,
No,
but
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I'm really glad. Thank goodness you're in remission. Thank goodness for that. I also had cancer in my womanly cancer. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
In my, it's a whole YouTube thing.
Mine's
Regardless,
like mine's more of a manly cancer, I guess.
right.
Yeah,
It's
I
great.
get you.
And I have 2 miracle babies. It's a whole thing and a whole. And I've seen an $80,000 bill because I had a really bad infection in my heart, went to my lungs, lost half a lung, didn't have insurance at the time, and my bill was like $86,000. And I
Yeah,
fought
that's
for 2 years
wild.
to
It's
get it.
scary.
Yeah, it was insane. And so I know all about that. From what I understand, and like you said, anecdotal experience, even if it's horrific, just anecdotal.
Right.
I know I listen to some people smarter than me on like economics and generally this whole insurance problem because I'm just, you know, I'm all right. My IQ is probably average. I certainly don't understand all this to the greatest degree. So I
Well,
listen to people
that's why
who
it's good to
know it.
have these discussions, I think. So yeah, go on.
Right. Oh yeah, completely agree. And when I listen to certain people talk about this, their idea, if you will, or theory is that, in fact, a lot of these Medicare programs could be what's gotten us here in the first place. Now, when it comes to like pharmaceutical companies, that side of it, you want some level of competition because that's what gets us to be on the bleeding edge of medications. You know,
So I would
experiment.
disagree. I would disagree on that because like pharmaceuticals competing to me it sounds like it could, yeah, like competition can maybe like make innovations good and things like that. But what I work in this field, healthcare and the funding that comes towards healthcare. I don't want to get too far into it, but
Yeah, don't talk.
what I've noticed though is that, you know, like it's grants, it's research, hospitals, it's research programs. That's where the innovation comes from. That's where guidelines get changed. That's where new trials are tested. And then that's where they get the data for these trials that they can then turn over to places like the FDA to get certain drugs, you know, like passed, like maybe over the counter or, you know, put into a guideline for like a primary cancer response. You know, like instead of chemotherapy, they could try immunotherapy or like CAR T therapy, which is a very specific type of like cell that they build basically that targets like the cancer only, so you don't have to like destroy a bunch of like good cells, you know, that are
Yeah.
around it from
You get the-
chemotherapy. So yeah, and like we have trials and stuff like that, and the pharmaceuticals, a lot of these are funded publicly, a lot of them are private, because they want to get their pharmaceuticals on the market. But I don't think that there should be a market, to be completely honest. I think that like marketing it and like having like a profit driven method for healthcare is where we find ourselves in this place where, you know, like they have to the thing about capitalism is there's never a ceiling, right? Like the profits need to keep going up. If you made $20,000 last year, you want to make $25,000 this year, and then you want to make $30,000 next year, and you know, like you want to keep going up because inflation happens, and you know this, that, and the other. So, in order to keep that rising profit, you're going to have to get that money from somewhere. And if healthcare like prices are either being like, you know, chosen, a lot of times they're like figured out between these private insurance companies and the providers, and that usually doesn't change too much year over year. It's these other things like marketing, you know, like all these ridiculous commercials. Like there's so many commercials for like insurance companies that I don't understand why they even have commercials, because half the time it's not even about insurance.
Yeah, that and commercials for medications is so wild. That's a strictly
Yeah,
American.
yeah, that's
Right.
weird. Like the, you know, all the like Blemv and Bic Tanitude or whatever they have out there.
And then the list is
Yeah, they have the craziest names. I would love to know where they come up with these names for these pharmaceuticals. But overall, I would say that, you know, like taking the capitalism out of it, and by not necessarily making it like an authoritarian thing to where like the government has complete control and Next thing you know, like people have brought up like death boards and things like that, which we see them nowadays anyways. Like they have
I was about to say,
yeah,
Canada.
they have people that are working for these insurance companies that are, doctors that are saying like they know better than the person that is treating you. Lauren,
Right.
my friend says, and the burden isn't falling on the multimillionaires making the decision, right? And that's true. Like the burden falls on us, and so like they are making these sweeping decisions on things like, oh, we're gonna price out this very like low demand heart medicine as 1,000 multi thousands of dollars a month for somebody, and that's with our coverage. Like
Yeah.
that's to me is just wild. Like if you need the
Insulin.
medicine, yeah, or insulin too. I mean, at least they're capping that. Like there had to be government intervention in order to cap insulin, because like they were going wild with that. Like because
Yeah,
the
some of
demand
that
is so high.
and my point more is, so like, and when I say like the pharmaceutical companies, what I
Mhm.
really mean is like the idea of big pharma, which
Yeah.
would kind of include the research arms that you're talking about, like anybody directly connected to pharma. And
Right.
that's kind of what I mean. And by competition, I don't even mean just like to get the quickest, like best quote unquote technology, or to do the best research. I mean more like with pricing, because
Yeah.
as much as they want to make the most, they want to sell the most more than anything. So
Right.
if
And if
one
another
company,
company is selling better, I get what you're saying there.
right, and I feel like that's one of the only things that keeps some drugs affordable at all. Or you would see what we've seen with insulin and other medications that are just so in high demand and so important. I mean, that's a life-saving medication for a lot of people, type 2 diabetics or
Right.
type 1.
Well, and like that
Insulin
was the price of insulin, I believe, shot up because the demand went up so high. Let's see if I can find like insulin prices over time. Yeah, it just like over time it just keeps going up and up and up. And a lot of it is something that I would probably say just because supply and demand. Like depending on the supply and how much people want it, uh, they can raise the prices. And there's nothing you can do about that, right? Like, and that's why I would say take the profit out of it. If we're not profiteering for these things, then there's no reason to like raise the prices. They would just be like a flat rate for whatever it is. And maybe that would cover the cost of production, and so on and so forth. And still there would be like pharmaceuticals that are elective, of course. Like these,
Oh, for sure.
there's things that
Like all these GLP-1s that people are using to lose weight, etc.
right, yeah, like if they don't like necessarily medically need it, but they want to lose weight, like sure, then you don't have to get the insurance to subsidize part of it. Maybe that's where a private insurance could come in though, to cover part of that cost. But like
Yeah.
overall, if you do need it, if you're like a type 2 diabetic and like dieting and other options are just not working, then like a GLP-1 that's covered by insurance is something that could be looked at. I think that there's a little bit of like what you're bringing forth and what I'm bringing forth. I think there's like kind of a meet in the middle there that it could
I
exist.
think there's creative solutions for sure. I think a lot of people have problems also when it comes to the healthcare industry with like charges for doctors and hospital visits. And my only comeback, quote unquote, to that would be, or argument would be like, well, until we can make education cheaper for doctors, the average doctor graduates with what, like $500,000 in student loan debt. They've got to pay that back somehow, right? Like, we hate to talk about it, it's like the ugly part, but unfortunately, if
Right.
you're trying make a living wage and support a family
Oh
and pay
gosh.
back $500,000 in student debt. I mean, can you imagine?
Right,
So
and
they're
like
gonna have
when they're working in residency, they're not getting paid like those doctors' wages, but they're doing, if not more, than what a lot of like
work.
the higher end
Yeah,
paid doctors are. They're
absolutely.
they're just getting paid, like whatever, like 20 something dollars an hour, working 90 hours a pay
I think
period.
sorry.
Go on.
I'm sorry, I was trying to interrupt. I think that's healthcare generally is one place where the left and right, or conservative, liberal, whatever sides, quote unquote, there are, could somehow find a way to meet in the middle. That's where we're
I
going to find our
agree.
best because this isn't an issue that's, at least for 99% of the people I hear speak about it, somehow ideological in any way. This is like, we want to take care of people. Like, conservatives think we don't want people to have health care, or liberals think conservatives don't want people to have health care. Like, that's not the case at all. We just
No.
don't want to end up where we're behind every other country on medical advancements, or where all of our
Right.
taxes have to go 4% to pay for it, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we don't want to end up screwing everybody over to help X% of the population, like,
Right.
who might need it, And it's also one of those arguments when it comes to these entitlement programs and government benefits like EBT. EBT was only ever meant to be a temporary help, right? Unless you're talking about the elderly or infirm, for example,
Thank you.
on permanent
Agree.
disability, etc. And yet the average person until the past few years was on it for like 8 years plus. That's kind of crazy.
So EBT is actually like welfare in general. I would say is a highly successful program. Just like from my master's degree, I had to study a lot of this, and I have a master's in public administration. So like things like welfare, SNAP programs are looked at under scrutiny. And largely, if you look at the results, yeah, there are some outliers that will have to depend on it on a long term. But if you look at the like overall, most people aren't on these programs for longer than like 6 months to maybe a year. It's meant to be more of a like keep your head above water in hard times. Like say something unexpected happens, you lose your job, you have kids, and you now need to feed those kids, but you don't have any money. Well, at least SNAP is there to at least help with some of that burden. And even if you don't have kids, like you still need to eat. So like if you don't have any money, how are you going to eat? And there's, like the Republican way to look at it, and they could say like, oh, we'll go to a charity, and like more like local things can. Well, yeah, I'm just saying like that's one way to like approach such a thing. But it's just largely for the like it's one of the most successful programs that we've had, to where it's even like returning income.
Well, can I fight back just a little on that point? See, I actually did a bit of a deep dive when the government shutdown was happening before, the one that lasted like a historically long time, like 64 days, crazy. And I dove in specifically to the EBT program because that was what everybody was so concerned about, right? And so I did some pretty deep research. And I found no matter what you use to research, like if it's anything on the internet, right? And you just Google ChatGPT, Perplexity, anything, and you ask it, like, how long is the average person in America on EBT? Benefits, right? You'll get the same standard answer across the board. It'll say 6 to 12 months, right? And you start reading through. And that's what people say. Anybody that I talk to about this that's any further left than Trump, basically, will tell me, no, it's 6 to 12 months, right? But then you dig a little deeper and you realize that they're giving you those answers because what happens is you go and you apply for EBT, and each time you're approved for EBT, you're only approved for 6 to 12 months at a time. And then you have to reapply, right? These are not programs that are just approved indefinitely. And so every single time you're approved for those 6 to 12 months. Therefore, they kind of fudge the statistics a little bit in this way and now actually a lot of states are moving it down to 3 months, which is fudging it even further. But there's not a lot of comprehensive, say, studies or metadata analyses that actually take and say, well, how many of these people in your state, for example, were on EBT and actually were approved multiple times in a row, right? And I found one. That's what I was doing while you were speaking a minute ago. I'm trying to find my source. I have it saved somewhere in one of my notepads, but I had found a source. It was a .gov website. I know a lot of people who are admittedly woke won't take those websites as the source, but it said that most people that receive SNAP benefit, not most, sorry, that's a bad word. Some people who receive SNAP benefits will receive them up to 6 to 8 years. That was their statistic, 6 to 8 years. And supposedly what they had done, and I'm going to say supposedly because, like I said, I can't find my source, and so I'm not trying to present it as factual without being able to like give it to you in the chat right this second, because I know that's
sure.
I don't know. But from what it said on the .gov website is that they had studied in, I want to say it was Nebraska. It was some kind of a random state, and they went through like 5 years of data, and they said, listen, these people have been on it for X amount of time, and they've been approved 10 times, or 6 times. And depending on if it was 6 or 8 months or a year or whatever it was, they did a percentage of that, like through their DHS, their local DHS, and actually just did a head count basically. And I wonder if that would be the same like state to state, if that's something would be more some areas, less in some areas. But for me personally, that statistic would not be hard to believe. And again, in this certain aspect, I can really only, until I find that source at least, offer anecdotal evidence. I know plenty of people who've been on EBT, and we're not talking people who are old or infirm or disabled, people who just don't want to work, people who work minimum wage jobs, people who have several children and can't afford. I'm not even knocking them for being on it in general, but the fact is they are on it for 6 or 8 or 10 or even 12 years. And I feel
Well,
like
to
that's a
me,
problem.
that sounds like that they need it then for that like extended period of time. Like if you're going to need it for multiple years, I don't see like if you're passing the benchmarks that they have in order to meet like the ability to get these types of like welfare, then I don't understand like what the problem is. Like if
Well,
you if you're like passing the audits and you're doing like what is necessary to get such benefits, then what's the problem?
have you ever been on government benefits?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
In
Do
Nebraska,
you,
to be completely honest.
oh, that's hilariously ironic. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. That's just
That's
not
actually the
hilarious.
wrong use of the word ironic, but it's
That's just
coincidental. But
coincidental. Yeah,
yeah, there
yeah,
you go.
maybe that's a better word. Because I just brought up. I'm
No,
pretty sure it was Nebraska. That would be really coincidental.
yeah.
Um, all I was going to say is
They're I
kind
mean
of
they have like so with Nebraska Snap, it was only for I think it was only 3 months. They only gave me 3 months because I was in between jobs basically, and
right.
one job had ended, and I didn't have income for a little bit. I was
Did you
also
apply for temporary SNAP or
yeah
did you
yeah
just
yeah,
apply?
and well it was like
Okay.
part of it was interesting because I was actually just applying for like
Unemployment.
Medicaid. It was Medicaid
Oh,
that I was applying for because I hadn't had any income, but I wanted to still like go to the doctor. I obviously I had cancer and stuff, but like when I was doing that, it automatically signed me up for Snap too, which I thought
yeah.
was great because they used this portal and like they made it very easy. But at the same time, that portal does keep track of things like really well. And you do have to do things like in order to stay with Snap, maybe like you have to show that you're like at least looking for jobs. I know that like unemployment does that. So like that was part of like the unemployment pay, and that I think all kind of falls within this kind of overall like welfare umbrella.
I would be very surprised if any food stamp program actually made you show them proof, because that was kind of where I was going with this. Is that I didn't ask you that just to like dox your past, because I myself have
No,
also at one point benefits, right?
I
I
don't have
think
any
all of us have,
shame about that. I think that
right,
using what is there, what is provided, and not being ashamed about that is like half the reason why people don't use a lot of these programs is because of the stigma that comes from the use of them, like the looks that they
oh,
may get with that when they pull out that EBT card, where
oh yeah,
they may be living and taking these hardships out on their kids. You never know, like what
oh,
how people are
100%.
dealing with these things, but I think that like one of the woke things to do honestly is to like get rid of the stigma. uh Interstate 5, I had you on? Let me unmute you real quick, because are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right. Yeah, you're I think you've been on before, correct?
I have.
Yeah, okay.
Once
So yeah, you
before.
can join in on the conversation. I am allowed to have more than one guest over on this thing. I just can't have like TikTok guests talking to you guys over here on this topic, just because I can't bridge the audio because I don't know what's wrong with me, but I've tried
It's
so many times and it just does not work. But I think this is a really good discussion though, Leah. Like I really do appreciate you like coming on and like being good faith about it,
Of
and like
course.
actually like being open to these things, and I don't want to say like I don't want to be completely dismissive of like anything that you're saying either. Like I think that
Oh, no, you've been very cool.
one thing I'm gonna be doing is looking at more of these longitudinal like see what like if there are more studies on like a longitudinal like level, like year over year. It would be hard for me to believe that there weren't, because this is such a topic, right? Like of like discourse, especially when it comes to like public health, public administration. And I work with a lot of people that work in these fields, so it's an interesting thing to go over,
And
but it could be like what you said.
absolutely. And you've also been very cordial. I've enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure
Yeah,
I'll visit you. I'm about to cook dinner for my family, but if I could just make one last point
sure,
also,
feel
is
free.
when we talk about conservatives and liberals and the woke and all this stuff, like I'm somebody that's always, ever since I was young, growing up, I've always had friends of all shapes, sizes, colors, and creeds. I've always been that way. And I speak with these people on a regular basis and
Mhm.
get their opinions, and I have some
Yeah,
very staunchly liberal friends, like friends that I've had to walk away from conversations with because I'm like,
yeah.
God bless you, I'll see you tomorrow. Like I don't want to lose this friendship, so we just gotta stop at some point, right? And
I've
I think
just like to
that
like interject a little bit. Like I've had, there's a lot of infighting that happens. Like I call it a cannibalization, of like
yeah,
parties.
eat your own over there.
Yeah, where people may get defensive, or they may get like overly correcting of others, and
Oh
like there's no like room for like the room to mess up, and
yeah,
I think that that can be like antithetical to like the goal sometimes,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's
so
been like that.
continue.
So sorry. It's been like that lately with the MAGA group too, and I'm not a MAGA. I won't get into that, but I've been severely disappointed. I was for Trump. I've been severely disappointed basically the whole last year, but that's neither here nor there. Within the
Mhm.
MAGA movement, you can definitely see that. They are eating their own more than I ever would have expected. And it's been more, conservatives leaving the whole MAGA movement because I think they see a lot of problems. We'll just say it that way. And the way the whole MAGA movement is reacting is definitely not the way to go if we want a conservative in the White House again anytime soon. Because at this point, I'm like, is there a woke right? Is that what's happening? Like, what is really going
Almost.
on?
It's
Like,
almost
it's
like that, and that
right.
that was part of my like why I put woke is right. There's a bit of a double entendre there, where I think that when you have like a common enemy, it does align a party a lot more. And I think like the kind of like dismantling of like woke as this ideology, or like prevalence of wokeness can actually not help what their goals are. Like they have, so like say they accomplish, like getting the things they've been complaining about for years. What are they going to complain about then? Like so,
Right.
and then you kind of see like, oh yeah, this is reactionary. Like there wasn't like a long term plan. And I think that like that can happen on both sides, right? Like that is something that is both sides, and
We're
that we
all
need to like maybe look at like look at the big picture, look at the long term, and like with healthcare, like what we were talking about earlier, like I agree. Like the marketplace, like ACA, Obamacare, that the way it is right now, and I know that that's not like how it was presented, but the way it came out, right, it's not really working. It's huge, like deductibles, uh,
doing the free.
like sometimes they're subsidized. If you don't do it right, you can actually end up like paying a lot because you got subsidized wrong. And
Yeah.
so, but like where's the alternative, right? And that's my question, like for
Where's the solutions?
right, like they've had since like 2012. I'm open to other ideas, so like uh but I
That was
haven't heard
where
anything. I've heard concepts of ideas.
Well, that facts. I can't even argue with that, and that's kind of where I was going with what I was saying. Is like we've
Hmm.
talked about being cordial, and like it's easy enough to get on and argue with people. I'm kind of in the debate space, and I can
Yeah.
fill bro out with the best of them. Like that's cool. Like it's okay to win in the marketplace of ideas as well, using a little bit of that. That's fun too. But like
Yeah.
until we can come together in some way, we've got this huge division and this two-party system that we have allowed. And let's be honest, nobody at the top gives a damn about any of us down here. That's just honest, whether it's left or right, and
Agreed.
that's not
Yeah.
true.
I
And
would
so we just
agree that is kind of where we may start getting more disillusioned, like slowly, but it may come to be a point where people realize like it doesn't matter, like that is a little bit of the both sides like rhetoric is, it's not really left and right. It's more, who's at the top versus who
and
isn't.
not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm all for that. Like if we got rid of like the bickering over a lot of like things that are like wedge issues that maybe best left up to the nuances of like these people's like specific problems or situations, like when it comes to like bathroom in identity politics and like AB, I think that people can like put forth their ideas, and I also think that we can, like you don't have to be banning something. You could be against it, but you don't have to necessarily like put up a prohibition of something and like take away like rights that one person may have over, something like going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And like I think that like spending so much time on those things takes us away from very important things like healthcare.
I can't disagree. That's one of those like when it comes to say abortion, most conservatives and even some liberals, I have quite a few pro-life liberal friends,
Yeah.
they happen to believe that abortion is murder, therefore they feel so strongly about it. They say, hey, we can't murder other people. Why wouldn't we ban abortion? That's one thing. The bathroom issue, I have kids. I don't want to worry about my kids. And I'm not trying to say, before anybody gets offended, that every trans person is some kind of predator. It's not what I'm saying. But we've seen it. What it is it's
I
not that
haven't
trans
seen it.
people are predators. It's that, well, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying trans people are predators. I'm saying that predators use being able to go into the bathroom as an excuse under
No,
that umbrella.
I
I'm
would
not saying it's trans.
I would say that if they're gonna do it, they're not gonna try and go get like HRT to do it. I don't think
No, well,
that
that's what I
they
mean.
would. I
That's
don't
what
think that they would like get like breast implants or
no,
augmentation
no, yeah.
or
100%.
mastectomies in order to get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
like a place. They're just gonna do it, right? Like
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about trans people at all. I'm saying straight men who are predators, or even women, whatever, that are not at all trans. Even they put on a wig just so they can say that they're trans to go into the bathroom. We have seen cases like 8 or 9 or 10 cases of this that have been all over the news. I don't even know how many smaller cases. I'm not even saying it has to do with the trans people. I have trans
yeah.
friends.
And like I
The
said,
trans people are separate from.
I would
You
have
know what I
to
mean?
I would have to hear about these cases specifically. I think that personally, like this is not an issue that needs to like go in front of the government. I think that people are adults, right? For the most part, and that they can, decide whether or not somebody is dangerous and handle those bathroom situations. We have mixed use bathrooms in our homes. We have mixed use bathrooms all over. There's many
Yeah,
ways that you can slice that topic, but
for
like
sure.
I just
Even if
don't want
you
to
did,
mischaracterize anybody or like try to deny anybody the right to like comfortably like go to the bathroom. Uh
peace, yeah.
yeah,
Family
so
bathroom, genderless bathrooms. That's been one of my
sure.
biggest sticking point. Just
That's
make a
definitely one
family or
way.
genderless,
Hmm.
But what
Yeah,
I was
or
going to
just like
say is,
having single use bathrooms. Like
right,
why do we have to have these like open bathrooms that are, like
that's
just put the
weird anyway.
stalls on the walls,
Right, sure. And plus, but here's my thing, even if we were to create some type of ban, which I'm really for less government and government intervention generally, period. Smaller government, less of them telling us what to do is my ideal regardless, whether it's something I like or something I don't. But even say we were to create a ban, what about people like Blair White? What about people, like Buck Angel? Like they're going to go to the rooms that correspond to their sex and make other people uncomfortable, even though that's what supposedly is the quote unquote right thing. It's like it's never a perfect solution. Even if we
right?
were to get, this way or that way, it would never be 100% perfect. I think the only solution, like I've mentioned in the past, would be a third option, basically, or to just have them all kind of individualized. And I think more.
Or we just look at like if it's really actually a problem, or if this is something that's being politicized and placed, into our discourse, because they want us to argue about it while we don't argue about things like healthcare.
Oh, 100%. And like I said before, I think there's definitely people at the top. Because notice, whether it's a Democrat or Republicans, all the people who are heavy into politics and deeply entrenched are also like part of the quote unquote elite. They're also rich. I mean, let's just be really honest. They're in a class above all of us. Like I said, they really don't, at the end of the day, care. In my personal opinion, somebody else can
Yeah.
feel differently. I
Like
don't think
honestly,
anybody.
I think that like you have more fear that honestly, like if I were a parent of a child, I would be more afraid at my child's like of access to proper health care than I would ever be about whether or not my child's going to be in danger of like somebody that's going to put
Sure.
on a wig, you know, to get into a bathroom. I
Or
think
going
that
to school.
that like the danger of not getting like access to proper healthcare is much more scary and pressing.
Well, and not just that, but probably also something they're actually going to, this probable in their lifetime, or at least, highly possible. And that's, I have heard of quite a few situations, like I said, and even there was a situation that happened twice in, I want to say it was Louisville, Kentucky. It was inside a school. There was a girl that was assaulted on two separate occasions inside the school restroom from like one of the football players or something in the high school. I can't remember. Maybe it's Loudoun County, Kentucky. Anyway, you could Google it. I promise you, it's not something I'm just making up off the top of my head. Now, I'm also not saying it's happened 100 or 1,000 times, but I'm saying this is the things that people fear when they talk about that. It's not even the trans people themselves. It's that there are sick people out there that will use any inch you give them to take a mile that aren't even trans. That's what when I have these
Right,
discussions,
but
people
using like a boogeyman
trans.
tactic is a way that it's been used as a tool to keep people disenfranchised in many different ways. So like even when like after slavery that's they would use like a lot of these same like that's why they had segregated bathrooms
Right. And
is
the
because
also
they would say like, oh, I don't want my children, you know, with these dangerous other folk and in like this fear of this like boogeyman, right? And I believe that the same type of rhetoric is being used to you know, like take advantage of this like marginalized people. It was not just for like black people too, like post slavery. It's also immigrants. It was Greeks. It was the Polish. It was the Italians. It was
Irish immigrants,
Irish. Yeah, it was a lot of people.
Asian
Non-Puritans. It was
immigrants.
Catholics. It was a lot of things.
Yeah. And I
So
think that happens on both sides. Both
right.
sides kind of quote unquote blow things up, even if it comes
Yeah,
from
oh
a
yeah,
place
I
of
would
truth.
agree.
Like the quote unquote abortion bans killing women because in Texas there were a few really stupid doctors who didn't understand the law and committed malpractice. And now the entire left wants to act like because there was an abortion ban, women are dying. When in reality, doctors just need to know better what they're doing. That's my argument. You may make it, but regardless, I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
get
both
what you mean.
sides quote unquote do that. They blow up these few situations, and but then it's like, but is it how many does it have to be before it's like how many grains of sand before it's the beach type of argument, and
Mm.
but regardless, I do have to cook dinner for my family. I'm sorry,
Okay.
we're
No,
rambling.
thank you. Yeah,
I
you're
will
welcome
definitely.
up to discuss some of these things later on. Yeah, I'll move on and have a good day and have a good dinner. All
I have
right.
enjoyed the conversation,
Yeah,
and
thank
that's what I
you.
just wanted to say. We need more
Appreciate you.
conversation,
Yeah,
whether we
agreed.
completely agree or not. So,
Agreed.
thank you.
Yeah. Interstate 5. I do have somebody in the box on over on TikTok. I know you're friendly, so I do want you to say whatever is on your mind if you have like anything to say, but I would like to try and oh, never mind, they left. So yeah, you're good. What's your thoughts?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me turn you up just a little
Good.
bit.
Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry. Not that good at the technology thing. Forgive me. I want to bring up something that's relevant to the topic of how we do healthcare in the United States.
Sure.
And this is something that might seem a touch on the obscure side, but it is a real thing in economics, and feel free to look it up and fact check me as I go. And this thing is called the adverse selection problem. Now, I'm going to break it down into the simplest possible terms. Let's say you have two groups of people. One group of persons is kind of young, works, and they don't go and seek healthcare very often. They probably haven't been to see a doctor very much, except
Mhm.
for maybe annual checkups, since they were getting their immunization series as children.
Right.
You have another group of persons, and these are people who tend to use the healthcare system quite a lot. These are persons who have severe health conditions, and these are elderly persons. These are people that need healthcare very often. Now, let's say you have two healthcare plans. Company A offers a plan that has a high deductible and a low premium, and the other one, Company B, offers a high premium and a low deductible.
hmm
Which group of persons is going to choose which plan?
So, people that think that they're gonna not want or not gonna need to go into the doctor so much, nor do they like feel like they're going to have to go to the doctor very much. So, like the younger people would probably take the high deductible, whereas like older people and the people that are more, like with immunities compromised or whatever, they think they get more sick, they're more prone to accidents. They're gonna probably take the higher premium.
Good. Now imagine that you are the insurer, you're the insurance company. Which of those two plans is likely to result in more profits for your company than the other?
Probably the higher premium because that's like guaranteed money in their pocket.
Now, because of this, the other plan, which is the one that we're going to have the high utilizers in, that's the one that's going to cost you more money, and it's going to be the more difficult one to sustain, right? Now, that's what we mean by the adverse selection problem. The selected plan produces an adverse effect in that it is a loss leader for the company. Now,
Yeah.
there's a way to solve this. If you think about each individual subscriber into a plan as let's just say that they're risk, and that risk is how much the risk of having to pay out money as the company. If you have a large pool of risk that includes both groups of people, knowing that the healthy worker population, the population of younger folks, people who are in relatively good health, who are at least in good enough a health to work, are far greater in number than the population of folks that are high utilizers.
Right.
And you put them in the same pool, so you have one plan instead of two, then that risk gets spread out more evenly.
Right.
And you are less likely as a company to spend more than you're taking in revenue, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I've just described to you is universal single payer healthcare.
Right.
This is Medicare for all. It is so far the only method of being able to control the adverse selection problem. Because if you try to do things as we're doing them now, which is where you have these separated pools of risk, then the folks that actually need the healthcare are going to wind up in plans that are going to wind up costing the company more money than it takes in. And those companies are less likely to offer those plans. They're going to try to find ways to recoup as much cost as they can through co-insurance, for example.
Right.
And that is impossible for a lot of folks who are not healthy enough to be able to work, or perhaps are too elderly to work.
Right.
So, in order to make healthcare work, we need to adopt a universal single-payer healthcare plan. And it's not a question of left versus right. It's not a question of, I hate using the term woke versus anti-woke, because I think a lot of people don't even know what the word means.
It was bait. It was bait for trying to get people up here.
I got it. And it worked on the last guy, but I was listening to what he was saying, and I was like, do you even know what this word means?
Right.
But anyway, it's more a matter of simple economics and what is going to work. Now, if we run universal single payer through a government, then it's more accountable. It's something where if you don't like how it's being administered, then come election time, you have the opportunity to boot the bastards out and try again with some other group of people running it. If you run it through private companies, you don't get a vote in that. You have a very anti-democratic arrangement. I don't mean that with a big D. I mean that with a small d, as in you don't get a vote in what United Healthcare does.
Right.
Blue Cross can do whatever it wants. You don't have a say in it. But if it's being done through the U.S. federal government, you have the opportunity to vote for somebody who will administer the plan in the way that you want it to be administered. And you're also much less likely to run into waste, fraud, and abuse. We run into much more fraud in the private sector than we do in the public sector. And I think that was proven last year when we tried the quote-unquote Doge experiment.
Yeah.
And they found that actually there wasn't a whole lot of government fraud going on, despite their ideology.
Yeah, as somebody that works in the field and is audited every quarter of the year, yeah, trust me.
Yeah.
We pass our audits.
Yeah. So that's something that I think would be a strong endorsement of that. Now, on the question of one of the things the previous caller was struggling with is an idea, which was this idea of the bathroom bans. I would like to say that Jeffrey Epstein did not pretend to be trans in order to get access to kids.
Exactly.
He never wore a wig. Most of what we see as far as that sort of thing goes is cisgendered heterosexual males attacking young girls. And that is something that doesn't take place in bathrooms. I would also like to point out.
Well, he also hired Ghislaine Maxwell to go into the bathrooms and to trick these young girls to trust her. And
and I'd also like to
go.
point out that hormones, specifically estrogen, actually reduce the sex drive considerably. And a person who goes on hormones probably isn't going to be physically able to rape anybody. So this whole anti-trans thing, and I'd also like to bring up one other point.
Mm-hmm.
In order to enforce a bathroom ban, you're telling me that you want to put a cop in front of every bathroom in America and have him examine the genitals of every person who goes in to use the bathroom in a public restroom. One, I would hate to be that poor cop. I don't want to look at everyone's genitals. And two, if there is somebody who does want that, oh dear God, help us all. That's not a job that I want to give anybody. I think that oftentimes the ideology that we see coming from the right, particularly the attacks on the trans community, are illogical. They're based entirely in ideology. They have no grounding in reality whatsoever. And I think that their arguments tend to fall apart within 10 seconds if you give them any kind of a serious examination.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that you just said. When you put these things down to practice, it does show the absurdity.
It does. And frankly, as far as the political right goes, if they were really concerned about keeping kids safe, perhaps they could get priests and youth pastors to keep it in their pants instead of diddling the little kiddies in the pews.
Seriously, though, where's the accountability there? I've heard so many things. Lauren, by the way, my friend, Lauren, don't worry. I just made you a mod. In case you see something problematic, you just click the little long hold it if you're watching on a phone, and you can just mute them for 5 minutes or something, just to shut them up. But yeah, don't feel like you need to block anybody or be any kind of police. It's just kind of, I love you, and I know that you have a good grounding for modding these kind of areas.
Anyway, thanks so much for letting me on. I know that
thanks for coming on, Interstate. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, that was awesome, by the way. The way that you just explained the universal healthcare, the Epstein stuff, honestly, that was well said. So the fact that I'm allowed to even platform somebody with your ability to put these things is an honor in itself. So thank you for coming up. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a good day. You too.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Well, that's it for guests. And geez, TikTok's only got 9 people. TikTok, you're just not my friend right now. If you're watching on YouTube, if you want to come up, if you don't agree that woke is right, Yeah, you just type in tinyurl.com/deconjunc. We can have a discussion about it. Otherwise, I will be probably closing up the live here soon if I can't get any more guests. But hey, good talks so far. We got a lot of people that are chatting here on YouTube. Let's see here. As a Canadian, we have universal healthcare, and it's got its positives and negatives. But the reason it's kind of great for us is that if we need treatment right away, long wait lists often, we can go to the US. I see. And I think that there's a middle ground for things like the long wait list argument, to where we could, look at into these things, like, because even with private insurance, like my urologist is booked all the time, and that's who I go to as like the first line, other than my oncologist, who's also booked like crazy uh for like any kind of remission problem, or anything like dealing with my cancer. So yeah, it could take up to 6 months, just to get a spot. And don't don't think that you're going to be able to like reschedule it and make it for later that day, or the next day or next week. If you miss it, you're going to have to probably wait another 6 months, and that's with private insurance. So I think that there's ways that we can go about, like how, like, there's telehealth. Like, do you necessarily need to be there in person to discuss like symptoms or medicine management? There's things that can be done over video chat, that I think that like money could go towards expanding, right? And that would make access easier for a lot of people. Like right now, there's a lot of people, like my parents, they have to drive all the way down to where I'm at, just in order to like get like specialized healthcare, because in their city they can only treat up to certain things. After that, they then refer them to this larger metropolitan area, which is like an hour and a half south. And they're not getting any younger, right? Like they don't like to drive, and then they have to try and schedule out like who's going to watch their dog. Should they bring the dog with? Where are they going to stay? They're more than welcome to stay with me, but they may not like that, because it's not necessarily the biggest house that I have, or that we have, me and my partner. But there's just a lot that goes into these things. So Jodah, you touched a nerve. Your mission is complete. Oh, are you messing around with the Nightbot? I didn't mean to offend you, but I'll take it as an additional perk. Oh, I didn't know you could offend Nightbot, or have them offend anybody else. Lauren is, by the way, on TikTok. Lauren's a very good friend of mine, who has a lot of experience in the healthcare field. A lot. She helped train, like pretty much like the larger workforce of who I would say is like the main providers, which is the nursing providers that work in the field. And like this is a very important thing that I would say that you're actually an authority on, Lauren. Yeah, that's the healthcare strain that already is happening, and it's not because we lack universal. Yeah, like exactly. We're understaffed, and staffing problems can be looked at. We can actually subsidize things. We could look at availability. These are things that we would have the say in, more so, like how Interstate 5 was just saying, like, you don't have say in anything that universal healthcare does. But if we had single payer healthcare, then we do have a say. We could vote people out, or vote people in, based off of different platforms that they have. And now your voice is, being heard. So it's just something to consider. Yeah. Well, it's been about 5 minutes there, and that's about as much time as I want to put off rambling. So yeah, it's been about 2 hours that I've been live. Not too bad. Good conversations. Woke is right. I think that even the right should promote more woke, because then that gives you guys more stuff to complain about. Because when you guys don't have anything to complain about, you kind of run out of things that you even have like for goals. What did Lauren say here? People don't want to work in healthcare either when we know that we're bankrupting people to heal them. Yeah, it is. It's soul crushing. And thank you, Interstate 5. I really do appreciate you. And who else said that? Always a good time. Thank you, Minitro, and everybody else. If you are interested in like kind of joining the larger conversation, Deconstruction Junction is actually a Discord that you can join. It's discord.gg/decon or DECONJCT. Preparation here. It is mostly about religious indoctrination and deconstructing religion. Oh, hold on. I got somebody here on TikTok. All right, chill guy. Can I get your age real quick?
39.
39. And what's up?
How old are you?
I'm 38.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah, you don't look that old, man. Good for you, bro. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
39 is like that's that age, you know. You're not old, but you're like about to be 40, so it's like one of those things, you know.
Yeah.
It's like midlife, sort of.
I'm just happy to make it this far.
Yeah, heard that. So, yeah, what was your question? Sorry about that.
I was just what brings you up? What made you click the request button?
Excuse me. No, I was just assuming that you're a Democrat and political takes and whatnot, and woke is right. So I just, I'm generally like on the right, conservative. So
sure. So what?
I like to have discussions about it with opposing views.
Sure. Okay. So what is woke to you? What do you think woke means?
Woke is like, I'm not gonna be too hyperbolic. Let me say this like less facetiously than I ought, but it's like, living in a bubble. It's like being politically correct. It's like they've awoken from the Matrix, sort of like you have a higher understanding and more knowledgeable about what's really going on in the world. I don't know if that's sort of explains
so
it.
like just being like kind of knowledge is power, right? That's kind of what I would say like woke is. A lot of people try to frame it as like white guilt or like that because you're white you should feel like ashamed of your like skin color, where that is not quite exactly like what people mean by like critical race theory or DEI or just like equity in itself as an idea. It's more so just like being aware of things like systemic racism, like that. It definitely exists, and we see it in many different forms, and also like being aware of like not everybody has the same privileges as others, and simply just being aware of that is what I would say is like being woke, like awake to it, right? Where like that's where the idiom kind of comes from, is like your eyes are closed, you're not awake, or you're asleep, you're not paying attention to these things that are happening, and it could be because at school they didn't talk about I'm trying to think of things that aren't quite talked about in school, like maybe like how LGBTQ people were treated in history, or like like famous people that would have been identified as LGBTQ, like Alan Turing, and also like how he was treated after he came out and things like that. So
yeah, that guy, he invented he like broke the code for
oh
like
yeah,
World War
like
II or something.
yeah, like did a lot,
Yeah,
and
that's a good movie.
helped it helped like kind of push technology into the direction that it is. Maybe is his bad because now we're like dealing with this AI shit, but
Right.
yeah. Beyond
All I
that, like
needed was a smartphone.
right.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Go ahead. Beyond that.
I would just say like it's not really an agenda. It's not really. I think that it's fine to have like patriotism, but I don't think it's fine to like just like simply ignore things. I also like like Thomas Jefferson was a slave owner that had a wife that was one of his slaves, or not a wife, but like a mother to one of his children, you know. And I think that that's something that we should realize. Like I think that the sense of patriotism, if it's built on like false premises, does not make that patriotism any stronger. You know, like if it's not true, and you are like putting your full weight behind it, and then you find out like these like dark things, it's gonna like rock your foundations. So like being aware of it and still being proud of like where you come from, or like the things like the Constitution, or you know, being able to separate maybe the art from the artist, if you will. uh you could still be proud of like the fact that like the Constitution and the way that our government works did still come from it.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. The thing is,
Wait, is this
like,
Jeff? Are you HVAC? You sound.
how'd you know, bro?
I know who you are. RTP's. I've been a mod for RTP for years.
Oh, that's so funny. I
How
thought
you
you
doing?
I
You doing
don't
all
think
right?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I'm great, man. Doing fantastic. Yeah, living the dream. You know,
Yeah.
just like to. I always enjoy TikTok, and I enjoy like the conversations, and I like the debate and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that you do a really good job at like getting to kind of like the meat of a discussion, and that you're able to kind of, you know, navigate these types of discussions. So yeah. Oh, I think I lost you there for a second. If for those who may not know, this is somebody that's been on TikTok for a while. Used to be kind of a wishy-washy. I don't know. I don't know where you stand anymore. Or are you just gonna run away now that I figured out who you were? That's my dog. All right. Well, Jeff, I was just about to get out of here, so maybe we'll save this for another time, because we didn't really get into the meat of it as much as I wanted to say you're good at that. Let's close this up. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I scared him off because I knew who he was. I recognized his voice. All right, everybody. Oh, there you are. Jeez. Every time I try and close this out.
Yo, sorry. I'm sorry. No, I got a call, then I muted. And I had
Oh,
to take the
gotcha.
call. But no, that's cool. No, I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, man, I always enjoyed, you know, I love talking to people. I always enjoy the discourse on TikTok. And I try not to get too deep into it, you know.
I get
I don't
you.
like it because it's addictive, man. It can take up a lot of like
for
time
sure.
in your life, you know. So,
Well,
you know,
and
but no,
it can get like where it gets sometimes to where it's almost like it's like, wait, what am I doing? What am I saying? Like, what is going on with these conversations? Like, how did it get to this point? You know, I know what you mean. Where
oh, dude, it
you
is
got to be a little
wild on
careful.
TikTok. Yeah, it is. TikTok is insane land. Like, but I mean, that's a part of, you know, I hop on some panels and, you know, people just go absolutely like crazy. Like today's been especially like kind of a wild day, but you know, but I just try to be anonymous. That's why I have this account. Everything's like
Understood.
private.
Sorry,
You know,
didn't mean to take away.
No,
There's
no.
only 9 people watching, or 6 people watching.
Right, no,
so.
you're good. Yeah, right. No, man, that's cool. I love RTP though, man. He's such a good. I wish I still debated. I really, when he his like first live ever, I hopped in like a long time ago when he first went live. I hopped in and debated him for like the first time. It was I was like, damn, this guy's good, man. He is a really good debater.
Yeah, I think that I think he misses those days, to be quite honest. I mean, he does a lot of more just like kind of going over the news nowadays, and he debates like with the chats.
Yeah,
more so than
occasionally.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. No, we had some freaking. I mean, it's just crazy how we came like full circle. Like we were opposition, and then we were debate. Like I was hosting him on the panel, and dude, I enjoyed those times. That was some fun times right there. That was crazy. But yeah, we're still good and everything. I just don't talk to him very much. But yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I think that overall everything, you know, just like the way that TikTok kind of gets uh with people, and how, like, if you're on screen or on a microphone for so long, like, so much is going to be said. You're not going to remember things you said. Like, everybody says a lot of like wild stuff, or it may be taken the wrong way by another person. It's just something to be aware of, I guess. Oh, Interstate
Oh,
5 did hold on. I got somebody here that gave a $10 little tip here. Said talking to a conservative is like talking to your refrigerator. The light goes on, the light goes off, but it never does anything that isn't built into it. Ooh. Yeah,
but
I mean,
it holds all the important stuff though. Getting hungry.
I mean, in a way, I like talking to conservatives because I think that they can keep me open, so I'm not like locked in an echo chamber, right? So like, if you don't keep yourself open to, like issues that they may bring up, or things like, you might find yourself like, oh shit, like, I didn't even think about that, and
Oh no, so true.
yeah, yeah, I
No, I
think
mean,
that that's good for each side.
yeah, you have to. I love putting your thoughts out there and then letting the opposing side clash in like thoughts and ideas. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. In the real world, you just don't get that. Like and if I'm debating someone in person, like people don't like just the regular people don't know much. Like it would be easy to like I've talked to a couple people and like you could easily just like hit them with a bunch of
Oh,
shit that
gotchas.
you've learned
Yeah.
through the years. Yeah, no, just talking to normal people like in real life that people are just regular like the voters.
Yeah.
They don't get it. Like they know a little bit but not enough, and
Yeah.
so you could easily like float ideas that and you could just and you're so full of like information and knowledge about politics and stuff, and I've been on both sides, so
Right.
I got to clash on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you
you
have.
know
That's interesting. So where do you find yourself now? Just still kind of figuring it out,
you'll
or
see me debating for Trump now,
yeah,
but honestly I'm not. I never let politics define me, and
right,
I'm never one singular like thing. I
right.
just kind of go with the flow and which way the country's going, and we'll see who. If a Democrat's in office and they're doing a good job, I hope for that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm not just, oh my God, I have to vote. I want someone to do a good job. And generally, I do get the sense that Trump is doing like a fairly good job. Like if you look at the numbers and all this, the economy markers and whatnot, like it's not terrible.
It's
Um,
also not like amazing either.
no, not yet. Not amazing yet. And he's got a lot of hurdles in the path. A lot of opposition. The Democrats are very cohesive, and even when they're in the minority, they still put up a damn good fight. So, we'll
Yeah.
have to
I would argue
the
that
key
like
here.
bipartisanship is a poison. I would actually rather see more parties than just like like Democrat and Republican, because I find myself not really caring for the Democrats, but like begrudgingly, having to support them because of like simple stuff like my partner and I are in a same sex relationship, so like I have to keep that in mind when I vote, things like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, when you're, being a part of a marginalized community, like it definitely is gonna, affect the way you vote and your outlook on life,
Right.
generally.
But
So,
like
but I
I don't agree with like Schumer for a lot of things. I also like I don't really care about like the neolibs, a lot of the people that are, like Hillary Clinton was like not too much of a like exciting person to me. uh Bernie Sanders, I thought, like had some interesting like kind of newer, fresher ideas that I would have been
who are
more
you
into.
thinking? Who are you thinking for 2028? Like, what are your
I don't know, dude. Like it's wild. Like right now,
guy in Texas? What's his name?
Tallarico,
Yeah,
maybe.
Tellerico. He's a popular one.
I don't think that like a marginalized person, so like a woman, I don't think a woman or like Pete Buttigieg, if he wasn't gay, would be probably who I would like say should like run, because he's got that like charismatic like way of talking. He's got a pretty, you know, neoliberal, like middle of the ground kind of way about approaching things. But the fact that he's married to another man, I think would not get him the seat. So I think it would have to be somebody that would, you know, kind of fit those markers. I would also think that like AOC, she's a woman. That's not going to work. I thought if a woman were to run, I think Kamala Harris would have won. Like if a woman was to like run
Definitely.
and get it. So like
Yeah, she
if she
had
can't
about
do
as
it,
much
yeah,
momentum as you can get. I
right.
mean,
So if she can't do it, I don't know if it's worth risking it. Although then again, like I would rather see like the Democratic progressives like break off and create their own like party, and kind of more, and maybe even like progressive conservatives or something, like, or progressive Republicans, I guess, like break off. There's a way to be progressive and to like want new ideas like these, like but still be like Republican, and to like be more for small government, or you know, like changing things. Like a lot of the large like tech people are not necessarily conservative. I would say they're progressive in their ideas. Like Elon Musk, right? I would say is a progressive person. Like he's more for, you know, like the changing like autonomous vehicles and electric vehicles, where he's like clashing, but he still is like kind of aligning himself with the Republicans. And
yeah, but
I
you know
think
what?
that that's
I
a
mean,
that's
what-
part of the problem with bipartisanship, is that, you know, you have to align with these like things that you may not agree with fully.
so, and then there's another exactly. Well, what I got from that is you got to put someone in who's going to win. Like at the end of
That
the
too,
day,
yeah.
if you want to make change and you have
Realistically, yeah.
certain policies, yeah, it has to be somebody that can win, right? And
So
with
probably
Elon
Gavin
Musk,
Newsom.
man, I don't know. But with Elon Musk, bro, like this is the thing about the Democrats. Like I just think about it all the time. Like they push so many people, like their purity testing, and like
Yeah, that's
their,
stupid too.
you know, that they, dude, you guys lost Elon Musk. Like imagine, you know, having him. Like it's like they push so hard, and they're sometimes their own worst enemy.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
I would agree.
and obviously you don't need, like, let's face it, Trump isn't really like someone that's that intelligent. And even like
No, I would also
he's a
like
decent,
Trump used to be Democratic, right? He was all for, you know, like gay marriage. He was for, I mean, they have like the most gay parties at Mar-a-Lago. Like, if you ever see like some of those like photos and stuff, it is like the most like outrageous stuff that's going out there. Like, I mean, and maybe there's like some Schmepstein stuff going on. I don't know, but
oh dude, yeah, Trump would have ran for a Democrat if he thought he could win,
right.
you know.
So I think
But
that like it kind of forced him to like take on these certain like perspectives, and I mean, he might have been a little bit racist or something, but product of his times. Also, you know, it's just his family and everything that he was around. But still, what I'm trying to say though is that like he just kind of chose a party, right, and now has to like kind of say things that he may not even stand behind at all, which results in, you know, like unfulfilled promises, like, you know, a lot of rhetoric and not so much action. You know, like
oh, he's a
with like
salesman.
healthcare, yeah. You know, like
Yeah, he
where's
definitely he
where's the
pushes he pushes the
Republican
sale for
healthcare,
sure.
like
I'll say this.
answer?
I'll say this before I
Sure.
leave you.
Sure.
Mark my words, this is what's going to happen. I think we need a shift back to the left, but it's going to be from somebody whom it's got to be from somebody we're not expecting, and someone that's currently not on the radar.
I would agree.
I'll say that.
I think you're right. Here's another thing that I think is that woke might need to come back a little bit, because I think that the momentum that the other side had a little bit, it's kind of fizzling out, and they need something to be really mad about. But I would then tell them to also make like long-term plans, right? Like to actually, like, instead of just complaining, like come with a plan. because
exactly. And you got to speak to the American people, like, and they're not complicated people. They're really not.
no,
You know,
they're not. Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
Trump does so well.
I think there's a lot that could be taken from each side. The people on the left, or like the Democrats, could learn a lot from like simple sayings like "fight, fight, fight," or lock her up, or little 3-word, like awesome little sayings that people will stick in their ears, and it
Right, exactly.
never leaves their head.
Yeah, he is
I
good
agree
at the
with that.
nicknames. He's good at the
And yeah,
nicknames.
I think that somebody knew or something, but I don't know if it's going to come soon enough for 2028. I don't know what'll happen in 2028, to be completely honest.
Oh, dude, we got to see the midterms. That's going to be like,
That'll
dude,
kind of-
I'm on the edge
yeah.
of my seat, bro. I'm on the edge of
It's
my
interesting,
seat.
right? It's interesting to watch the pendulum swing.
Yeah, well, especially when you start to pay attention to it, and you're
Right.
so, once you've been on TikTok for a while, and you're actually out there, like, putting your ideas out there, like it all starts to make a lot more sense,
Yeah, and that's the real politic right there, I think. All right, well,
right,
chill
man.
guy. It was good talking to you. I'm gonna close out my show
Dude,
though.
man.
Yeah.
Well, tell RTP I said hi if
I
you
will.
see him.
Yeah, I'll send him
Thanks,
a little message and say that you send your best wishes, and I'm sure he sends the same. So
Of course.
all right.
Yeah,
Take it
no,
easy.
he mentions me from time to time. He's
Yeah.
always a good guy. He always treats me right. So
Yeah, he is. All right, man.
all right, my dude. Have a great weekend, brother.
Yeah, you too. All right. All right, everybody. This time I'm for real. I'm going away. There's only like 5 people on TikTok watching. There's only like 19 on YouTube. It's a good time to close out the show. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for sticking around, even if it was only for a second or a couple minutes or for a long time. I really appreciate you. Once again, we got our Discord, Deconstruction Junction. It is discord.gg/deconjct. That is a Discord mostly for religious indoctrination. We do a lot of atheist, or like breaking down like what is Christianity, things like that. But we also try to deconstruct politics. Sonny, I'm sorry. The replay will be up on YouTube, so feel free to go over there, like, and subscribe. In the meantime, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank Doug. It's Friday, and my dog is freaking out. All right, guys. Have a good night.